Okay,
One
go
minute.
That was all recorded too.
Now,
doesn't work.
volume now on.
Okay,
Volume
so
down.
it is 6 o'clock, and I see everybody in the board is present. So with this, I open tonight's meeting at 6 o'clock. Let's please join me for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So Sunnyvale School District is located on the ancestral and unceded land of the Muquiba Ohlone tribe, who have peacefully honored and cared for this land for thousands of years. We recognize that every member of the Sunnyvale community continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land. We acknowledge our responsibility to learn from the wisdom of the Ohlone people and to consider how we might work to repair injustices and how to move forward together in honorable ways. With that, we can move to item 2, which is the approval of the agenda. If we have a motion to approve the agenda as it is right now,
I move to approve tonight's agenda.
okay? Okay, with that, if anyone want to, well, there's no one here, or anyone online want to object or ask for something particular in the item number 2, you can do it right now. Is anyone? So with that, everybody who would like to approve the agenda, please say aye. Aye. With that, we have agenda. Move to item number 3. And with this, we're gonna start with 3A, which is the board self-evaluation and research study session for tonight. So, okay, who would like to, we have all the results here. And I don't know if everybody had time to check them.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I think the results ended up being a little bit skewed because we have, again, I'm not sure, but even when we have 5 out of 5, we didn't get a 3, so that frustrated some very much. But how do we start? Like, we go for areas and review them, or we go through the issues that are an area of growth for a simple majority? I don't think we have any red, huh?
I think we can go through, I mean, we could, we definitely should focus on the areas that are areas of growth, but I think it's worth going to the strength as well, just to comment on it.
Okay, let's talk about board unity. Yeah, I think there is a lot of thought partnership about what it is, and the board is focused on achievement for all students, the board is committed to a common vision. We have a line of the board priorities for the district, with the district priorities. But there is some questioning about how the board works well together. And we want to start with that one, which is a place of growth.
I think even the other ones where there's like one person or one board member, it could be a different person voting differently, but there's somebody who's like pretty clear that like, it's like less often over and over and over.
Yeah, over every.
So I don't know if it's the same person or different people are feeling that way, but it's like, it's not a, except for, what I do like is that the board is focused on achievement for all students, that's 5 out of 5, so.
That's
Yeah.
the best score.
That's the best, and that's the important one, right? Like, so all the
Yeah.
other stuff, okay.
Over
We're
here.
definitely aligned, I think we talk about that a lot, right? Like we, right, and that is one of the most critical pieces.
I was interested in obviously number 4, we should talk about that, but number 3. And that's blue, so it's 2 say most often, 2 say often, and 1 says less often. what the thinking was on those, is it often or less often?
So I think one of the things, having done this 3 times, there needs to be an agreement about what you mean by your indicators here. So how much is all, how much is less, rare. And the other thing is depending on how you read the question, sometimes you might put them in reverse order because you're just not.
Well, that's why we have the discussions, right? Because what's often is a relative term, right?
Correct.
I think you can't really make it more clear before you do the survey, really. Also on, oh, sorry, will you say more?
No, that's a good thing.
So on 3, I'm like trying to go so on 3, I did 3 stars, so that would be the often, right? And I think we're mostly there, but I just think sometimes, I can't think of like a specific example, but I just think sometimes, right, we might get on a tangent. It could be like, because I really care about something, so we happen to go on this like tangent that is not really as focused on the priorities, right? So that, like, but often is still good, right? So I would say most of the time we are focused on district priorities. And I would say, right, just occasionally we will go on, and not tangents that are not relevant at all, but we'll just might go on tangents that are less in that like focused priorities.
Well, so I think I said on mine, almost always, because I feel like when I read the question, I was thinking about like what's agendized, like what are we spending our time, and what's the district spending their time talking about, and it's almost everything on our agenda, I mean, unless we're like approving, some stuff, like some, stuff we have to approve, like whatever orders or whatever, like the money stuff, like the checks, I guess. Like I felt like most of that for me, like I felt like we do really intentionally spend our time on the stuff that we say are our priorities for the year, our priorities with the strategic plan, stuff like that. So that's how I read the question. So
I guess, I would say, I voted less on the committed to a common vision because we've just done our strategic plan and we're still getting used to what that
number 2.
Yeah, what that means. And so it isn't that we're not, it's just that we haven't adjusted to this new document and taken it in and what it really means, and that's just gonna take some time.
Well, and like I would say also that, like even before we had a strategic plan, I think I probably would have said we work towards a common vision. Like I don't think, like I know some boards, there's a board I can think of right now where every single member on the board has a different agenda, like a different interest, and they don't have any common goals. Oh gosh. And it sounds like a nightmare. Like it sounds like, how do you get anything done? They're like, oh no, I think the whole staff wants to quit. It's like really bad. And it's like, okay, so I was thinking more like common vision, not just a strategic plan, but like, what are we trying to do here? And I think even before we had the strategic plan, we had the equity vision and we had other stuff, so
Yeah, but I think we were able to move forward with the equity vision. We even revised it twice. We worked on the mission and vision a few years ago together. We wrote it down, put it to every comma.
then we threw it out.
Yeah.
And we started over.
We started over.
So that's the reason why.
That's right.
Yeah, if you're gonna ask me, you didn't, but if you were, I would say for number 3, now I just asked it because it's relatively low, but it's still blue, so it's good.
Yeah.
I actually think it kind of is similar to number 1. There's a strong focus on achievement for all students. I think to me that's undeniable. And I think the board does a good job of focusing on district priorities. I'd probably put it somewhere between almost always and often. Like I think there's so much energy with each of you about like how to get there, that sometimes it's like, is that aligned or not? But mostly it is, so.
The one that jumps out at me is just the question, it is a question of childcare, right? Like the district, if the district priority is education, where does childcare fall on that? And I think we all have different opinions about upon the spectrum, but that to me is one of the times where it's often but not always.
Well, that Maslow thing, Maslow is the,
So hierarchy of needs.
yes. And I think it's all when we accepted that, everything else moving forward to the well-being of children and family kind of aligns. Okay, so that was about board unity. Any other comment referring board unities? Anything constructive that we wanna work on for next year?
Well, I think that you're gonna have a new board, so.
Yeah.
It's a matter of, onboarding and having, building. It's the art of managing the agreement, and you all get to, even though we're going through this right now, you will need to go through that again, because it's the art of managing the agreement. Make sure that everybody understands what it is that you're meeting to.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Oh, so we're on to roles and responsibilities.
I was just gonna briefly say, I mean, I think the fact, like, it's not horrible, right? But the fact that nobody put almost always, I think, means like, we're all kind of aware, like, we maybe could have done a better job. Like, that it wasn't horrible, but like, we can work on doing, and again, right, yes, it's gonna be a totally different board because we're losing 2 people. But that idea of, my goal, right, is like next November, I hope that is a blue, not still a yellow, right? Because if it's still a yellow, that means like, again, we're not horrible, but like, we should be able to work well together whether we agree or not, right? So anyways, that would be like my goal is that.
And what I'd also say is that, it's important to build one-on-one relationships. I don't think that has necessarily been a strength that some people know each other and working well together, but you need to reach out to
Yeah,
everyone.
COVID threw it off and we have not gotten
Yeah,
good
it
at
just
doing it
happens
again
to
since
really
COVID. I agree.
connect on that particular.
Are there any other strategies that either, like I'm listening for like how I can support you or that you can support each other? Like, yes, it's a whole, they say if you have one new board member, it's a whole new board, but you're gonna have 2. So what
It's multiple
intentional-
new relationships.
Yeah, what intentional things can the board do or we do to support,
I think that it would be good, like other boards do, and I think the Fremont High School even do, that we go for the next governance, we go outside Sunnyvale, even if it's, I don't know, San Francisco or
You're actually
somewhere
supposed
else.
to stay.
A whole day retreat. No, not stay, the whole day, we can just drive anywhere for an hour and go in a different environment.
Well, if it's an
No.
official meeting, it has to be in the district.
that's
For
true.
governance.
Yeah.
So can we ask how Fremont does it and other boards do it?
We're breaking the rules.
So Mountain View, like,
But maybe they're doing a non-agenda,
Yeah, they're probably
just
doing like a-
going out for dinner.
no, retreat, how they do the retreat outside, like they go. to
I mean,
something.
you don't have to do your retreat at the district office. You can do it at another facility inside the district. It doesn't have to be in the board.
Yeah, their management retreat is outside the district, that might be what you're thinking of. And maybe they invite board members to that.
No, I think it was,
Yeah,
we don't know.
I'll text it and ask them.
But the idea is to have
Why do
something
you-
offsite.
All
Correct,
the
so,
illegal boards around us,
so what,
those
yeah,
but it takes some
miscreants, high schoolers
time. No,
that do illegal stuff in their boards.
we don't wanna do that.
I
But
don't
I
know,
think it's, sorry,
let's ask.
go ahead, Nancy.
Yeah. So what I would say is having, times to have that informal meeting kind of thing, like, hey, we're gonna have dinner together or a lunch together. Part of the intentionality of having dinner here is that everybody's gonna arrive earlier and have informal conversations. And from my perspective, I'm here and everybody just rolls in at 6, so you're missing.
I don't
out.
ever, just, so you know, I don't ever remember that as part of the dinner.
No, me either.
It was because I have kids, and I
Oh,
was
no,
like,
no,
if you
no.
want me to come earlier, you need to feed me dinner.
Right, but.
Was my memory of kind of how, I mean, not me, but like that was
Right,
kind of a
but what I'm saying is that there's an opportunity for additional affiliative time. So if you wanted to get to know somebody, you could make a date in that particular component of, hey, you know, I'll be here at 5:30 or whatever, and then you guys can have a conversation before the
Yeah.
meeting or.
So I know-
It's a missed opportunity.
I thought we had dinner early so that no one online sees the spinach in my teeth.
Well, that's true too, but
I know, I'm eating like right on camera right now, I'm like eating it. Right there.
But yeah, and I think pre-COVID, right, I hadn't been on for super long, but we did, like, we would occasionally go out together, right? So I think COVID nixed that, and then we haven't intentionally restarted. So I guess there's really 3.5,
Yeah.
Peggy counts to 4, right? I think, right, we kind of commit to like this next year having group things, but then also like one-on-one, right? So like make sure that you do at least one on, even if it's just a phone call chat to like, hey, how's life going? But a phone call, a walk. You know, like Peggy and I went to brunch this morning, right? Like, so yeah, so that would be, I think that would be, if everyone's willing, that we commit to, we do at least one like non-board related interaction with each other. I mean, more is great, but like one, and then we try to have.
Eileen's like, sure, no problem, no,
Yeah.
I mean, you could say good idea, but like, yeah, I commit to that.
She's like, oh, I'm rethinking this whole thing. I think I wanna stay.
But I think also for AEC, like, AEC, it was really useful for me coming on as a board member to like, you know, go the first, you know, with the new board member day with, at the time, Ben. So going with the superintendent was helpful, but I just remember like being there and being like, you know, Reed was always like, well, whatever you wanna do, you know, and I'm like, I wanna do everything, like, point me where, and then eventually like, you and Reed would say like, oh, we're going here, or I'd run into Tasha and she'd say, I'm going there, and like, or Mala, and I would go with Mala, and then I'd see, I think Tasha was there in her special ed role or something, so I would see people, but I think like maybe, you know, inviting her to Peggy to some sessions or like talking to her about it, making sure that she's not having to wander around alone.
Oh, I was gonna say, I don't see Peggy wandering around. My sense.
But it's not but you know, it's
No, no, no,
overwhelming in
I-
a conference situation,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I don't really, well, you kind of wander around yourself sometimes, but I mean, you know,
Yeah.
not in a bad way, just like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's Anaheim.
And I do think it has been, I mean, so one, again, COVID totally changed it, we're coming back into it, but there are more of those paid lunches and breakfasts. And while those are great, that has actually taken away some of the like connecting times, right? Because we would like meet together for lunch, and so then we're just chatting. So even if we're at those things together, there's actually less opportunity for chatting, because there's usually presentations at those, so.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's like, it's neither good nor, I mean, like, there's good and bad to it, but just, we have lost some of the, even if we're all at AEC.
Yeah.
We have lost some of that connecting time with more of those
Right.
official
And,
lunches and
yeah,
breakfasts.
and then we would have dinner out with a vendor at the time, and it was essentially just us.
Well, we've done that every AEC this year, but the COVID too. We
But,
still have our own dinner.
Yeah.
But that's like usually the
Right.
only.
Yeah.
The only one where we have time. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it's,
so I guess the other thing that would be nice, so you talked about other times for affiliation. When there are opportunities for attending events, that's another time for pairing up. together. In, not at the board table, but
Yeah.
other opportunities to take care, to do that. And build the one-on-one relationships.
So now role and responsibilities. Board agree to the role and responsibility of the board and the superintendent. I think we do. Anyone doesn't think that we agree who does what?
If someone said less often.
Yeah.
Same thing with board members follow board agreements regarding speaking for the board, which
Yeah.
sort of surprises me, because that's like,
The
it's
first
like
thing.
101, I don't know what we're,
Yeah.
and then
I think we
same
do
for,
nice in 9. Somebody think that often we don't always keep confidential matters confidential. The board gives direction superintendent only at board meetings. Well, we all have one-on-one with Mike and express our opinions, but we're not giving directions, we just
Yeah,
talk
so
about
I'm
that.
just interested in like,
I
Mike, it looks like Mike would beg to differ on
I
that.
would disagree.
Oh, I do this
I would
now.
disagree, because I've seen board members at official functions, then when things break up, then there's little side conversations. And it sounds like to me that it's not an appropriate time, you're coming to them with a problem, you're telling them how to solve the problem, and I think, and it's not just,
at a function.
yes,
Okay,
and it's not just the superintendent, it's also staff. I'm sad to say.
I don't even know.
Yeah, the
Why
little
don't you
face I
go-
was making was, I think it's less about big things, like, I think some boards would be pretty dysfunctional if they're like one board member, like, it's nothing like that.
No one's trying to totally control things under
No,
the
it's-
table.
I don't think it's like that. I think it's more, hey, and I hate to give an example because someone will feel like I'm talking about that, I'm not, I'm just trying to give a general example.
Yeah, and I
Hey, how
Because
about,
we've probably all done it at times.
right, I think this thing should be on the website. I think we should have some meeting, not
With
a board
somebody.
meeting, some parent meeting at some other time, or just things like that, like a little bit like that, and it
Yeah,
always
or-
feels
Or
like
have you followed up with
stuff like that.
that?
Yeah, so it's not major like dysfunctional stuff, it's just little stuff like that and yeah. I think staff feels it sometimes too. And I think I would say over my 5 years, that's well, COVID was awful, right? I mean,
That was a
everyone
whole
was just,
different
that was different.
space, yeah.
But it's definitely gotten much better over time. So like where would I put that one? I would put it again between often and almost always, so I wouldn't put it as low as maybe it was scored here. But I think it's something to be aware of.
I don't know, like 2 years ago, we went to the Golden Bell and then we saw a school with a zoo, and Jeremy hasn't fixed that yet. We don't have a zoo.
But that was me telling you.
Exactly.
I promised her a zoo just
We were
like in
joking,
Oregon.
it was a school that had a zoo, and they said, Jeremy, why don't we have a zoo?
I'll tell you
Let's have a
later.
zoo.
There's a school with a zoo?
Okay.
Then they wanna go and be like, why don't we have a zoo? What
That
are we
was-
doing?
That was a staff member, no.
And you say, I'll get into
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, 2 years later, he just wasn't listening.
Still haven't done it, oh god.
We don't have a zoo.
But I would say that's something, like that topic will come up with new board members. In any case, and this is something to always be working on. Again, I don't think it's as low as yellow. I think it's somewhere between yellow and blue. Would that be?
No, green is really
Green,
green.
green,
Green is.
But what's the combination of yellow?
So I
and
think,
It would be green.
oh, that is true, that's funny.
blue? Yeah. Anyway, I think it's just something to pay attention to. And yeah, when you talk to staff, like us, we're more used to it, like the average staff member, if you say something to them, they're like, oh my God, the board told me. I'm not talking about Cal.
Yeah.
So that's something interesting.
And I think the potential for having more parents of students in the district is going to increase potentially than what we've had recently on the board.
You're saying on the
On the
board,
board,
more people with kids in the district.
I don't know if it would more, it'll be even and then depends.
Well, but like she's referring, like when I came on the board, I was the only person who had kids in the district. Yeah, so she's like more long-term,
Got it.
how it's changed, yeah.
That is interesting.
And,
Yeah, I mean, they had kids in the district, but just nobody had kids in the district.
Yeah, because when you have kids in the
Biological
district,
kids,
like
yeah.
you're like on the ground, remember we always talk about
Yeah.
like flying at 10,000 feet.
Yeah.
You're like on the ground all the time.
and
that's-
everybody pings you.
Right.
No, I will say that like, for the most part, you know, we're kind of told not to talk to staff, right? Like, we're told pretty much just to talk to you.
Right.
So if we have a crazy idea, like, if I have a crazy idea, I'm not gonna go talk to someone at a school site about it. I'm gonna probably come to you and say, Mike, here's a crazy idea. Then
Yeah.
immediately, I don't want you to feel like I'm giving you direction, but I wanna share this idea that I had, you know? So I don't know if it would help to like frame it more that way for you.
Yes, yeah, I think you're coming up with, I have this idea, gives it, really open-ended rather than jumping into something, that doesn't have necessarily a context of, it's an idea I have rather than going forward and doing something.
I don't, okay.
I'm using,
Sure.
I'm using the example that you used and liking it and reframing.
Yeah, we all go to, you know, we visit a lot of other districts and good programs, we do the Hoffman Award, we do all that stuff.
Yes, we have.
And we come and say, hey, these people have this program and it changed completely the outcomes. Hey, this other people is doing this and they're doing amazing. And I don't know, it's not a direction to let's go and copy them, but we cannot also, you know, be like this and la la la, don't tell me anything, don't say
Well,
anything. We are.
there's a difference between,
And
hey,
I
let's
went to
talk about,
Desert.
there's a difference between, I saw these programs and how, do you think they would fit here as opposed to, I saw this problem and
And we
we
should
should
have
be
it,
doing it.
yeah.
There's a
Good
big,
example.
yeah. difference. So it's not being myopic or, it's how you present it, makes the difference. You know, like, with the Hoffman Awards, I appreciated that you had the write-up this year about the women programs and did the, so that the board could talk about that.
Like on our agenda, we had a little bit
Yes,
of
we
a
had
summary of it.
that, and I think that's a really important way of communicating, and then we can ask the questions. These are great programs. Are there any things from these programs that would fit here? Because it's always about fit, no matter how excellent a program is.
Like, what can we learn from this,
What can we
or
learn,
what can we model
do?
from this, or, yeah, that's interesting.
And I think the ones that were there were things that were we didn't just choose everything, we chose things that were on the scope of our possibilities.
Right.
Again, like, it will be pretty good, and I think that the thing was that the school was called Mountain View, which is what is somewhere else in California,
Yes,
but it's
Southern
obviously, we're
California.
not gonna be able to open a zoo, but
Oh, the
so that
zoo
would be
again.
a good example.
Wow.
But again, it's like,
Anything's
hey,
possible.
this is
Anything's
possible.
possible.
I mean, it would be pretty cool though, but yeah, we're not gonna open a zoo, but
There we go.
again.
Never say that.
Now that
Never say
But
never.
again, the ones that we brought, they weren't zoo, they were like, hey, these people won an award because they changed the way how they did this. And it's also the similar size, or they are K-8, or they whatever, like they have the same budget that we do, and somehow it works out. We're not telling him go and copy this other district, we're
Yeah, I
telling
think, I think this
they made it work.
seems like a pain point, but I feel like the general takeaway is that we're not trying to present it as it's not intended to be direction, and Mike gets that, right? So-
Yeah, no, like I said, it isn't the, during COVID, there was some big stuff, do this, and that was a different time. It's gotten to be much more subtle, smaller level things, like change this thing on hey, we should change this thing on the website, why don't we change the thing on the website? Or we should change the time of this parent meeting, like, why didn't we change, like, little things like that. It's just something to be aware of. I don't think it's again, I'll say it again, I don't think it's as low as it's.
Between often, almost always is still really good.
Yeah, we're doing, I think we're doing okay.
And you know,
But let's watch it with two.
Yeah. We're also out in the
Curious.
community, and then, then people start asking, like, I don't know if I say anything particular about the website, but I could frame it like, hey, in the website, there is nowhere where I can find this information, we should do that. And then, actually, that kind of makes sense, hey, I was told that we should do this or that, but it's like, how can we ever agendize that particular item? And if we try to speak that, somebody will hit me in the head like, that's not in the agenda, shut up. Like, okay, sorry, but people would like to see this on the website, sorry.
What is the better way to present?
Because a lot of times if it's not on the agenda, then what are you talking about? You're changing the point. Okay, sorry, but somebody would like to be able to find this document in the agenda, so
Well, I mean,
how do
that's-
we do that?
Something like that is so trivial, it doesn't belong on the agenda.
So, but
Because
yeah,
some-
so a lot of times it's like, well, we're not trying to change
remember
everybody's
Sandy?
word, I'm just trying to say like, it would be nice if people will be able to find this.
Yeah, remember Sandy said, if you preface things with for your consideration, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I just wanna give us a time check, I don't know if you guys like in packet review went through, like I haven't looked through the agenda of like how long are we supposed to spend on our board evaluation, did you guys come up with a
I
general
would be
idea?
able to move on, but let's go through the whole thing, board culture.
Can I just ask about confidentiality? Who's not keeping who thinks people are not keeping confidential stuff confidential? Cause it was like it was a 4-1, and I love it that it's almost always and often. But just for the record, like, I don't know, like if there's stuff happening, like confidential.
This is Truma number 9. I think
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a 4.
They sent us our answers, right? I want to
They
say.
don't send you your
Oh,
email.
they don't?
No.
So like I took screenshots of it because it's always an annoying thing.
Yeah, I couldn't change things once they're in there, you can't.
But I think often that could have been, I mean, so it wasn't me, but I think that could totally just be someone's interpretation, like almost always and often are actually like,
Yeah, and if it was.
I'm like, what is actually the difference
this was like
between-
a baby on it, possibly like that.
yeah, like, I mean, the difference between almost always and often is probably
Cause that's a
not
big,
that.
that's like the one bit, that's like the other big deal,
But yes,
right?
if someone
Like
thought we weren't keeping things
confidentiality.
confidential,
Like
I
that would
think
scare
everyone
me.
doesn't, I think no one thinks that we don't actually keep things confidential.
Okay.
Mike, do you feel like
No.
You're sure about
I think we're good.
Board culture, the one that is in yellow, the board manage internal conflict in a productive manner. Do you wanna get into that?
Well, I think that, in my mind, wasn't something different, I think it ties into the earlier one, the board works well together, and we've already addressed it. So unless there's something specific somebody wants to share, I feel like we've addressed that.
Okay, in board operations, the yellow one says board members follow agreements and how concerns for the community will be handled. One person added to the not sure and one person think less often. And I think that's, tied the same with the 13 and the
24
other.
is, I'm probably the unsure, I did a couple unsures. I should
So-
check.
So I guess
Yeah, that was,
it bothers me when concerns come up and it feels like there are surprises sometimes at the board table. So I want to make sure that the superintendent is aware before things happen or when I talk to people and they say da 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 da. It's the they and the them kind of gets lost in the process. If there's specific concerns and complaints, then those people, you can advocate for them, but those people need to go to the superintendent or address problems with the individual individually. And I don't feel like that process has been honored as much as it should have been. Or could have been.
Can you just share your last sentence? Sorry, I was reading one of my notes.
Oh,
It's
that,
like the very last sentence. What you felt like was not honored. Not that part. maybe.
if you get concerns from the community,
Uh-huh.
you should be advocating for that person, but advocating about the process. And so one of the processes is that, if an individual has a concern, they should be talking with that individual or the next person up. And I don't think that
Got
that always has been the process.
We
When,
should be talking to that individual or that individual, what do you mean?
so if someone has so in problem solving with a community member, if someone has a problem,
Yeah,
you try and refer them to the system.
Yeah.
So if there's a conflict with an individual and they don't feel comfortable addressing with that individual, or they have been unsuccessful
Yeah.
with that, then they need to go to that person's
So like the
hierarchical,
teacher,
the
principal,
teacher or the
like that.
principal. And I don't feel like that always has been honored from my perspective of what I'm hearing coming from the board table about, I talk with people and they say this and we're concerned about that, that it has always been gone up through the chain.
Yeah, there are more people coming to the board with their problems, which is a sign of it's a sign of something that's not working right, because that's the highest level
I would say
thing.
for me, it's a sign that our system's not working.
That's what
So
I'm saying.
that's, at least for me, the message that I am getting as more and more people come to our board meetings is that people are not feeling heard where they need to be feeling heard.
and
So
we're,
this
So
is not
I was gonna say
working.
it's either that or they're feeling like somehow they're being told or believe that the right place to go is.
Yeah, or some are maybe, they're not gonna try something, maybe they're just jumping here thinking that's where the right, so maybe it's not necessarily.
well, and like usually like when someone comes to me, like I pretty much always just go to Mike. Like I don't tell the other board members, like someone came to me, right? Like, or like if someone comes to my, like I might pick a thought partner like Isabel, or like I think Eileen and I have talked about a couple of things that have happened that like mutual families that we knew or something, and then we would go and we would talk to Mike about it. So it wouldn't be something that like we would, well, or we like, or I might say to Mike like, hey, like who do I refer this to, like whatever, and you know, most of the time it's like, or I'll say, oh, I told the principal, or you know, or let the principal know this crazy person's gonna come talk to them, you know what I mean? Like, not in a crazy way, but just angry person or whatever.
I'm trying to
So-
think, at our recent meetings, public comment has, I feel, been focused on things that are at a board level, so, you know. What are the,
Yeah.
the math curriculum was a big one, I think the most public comment we had, the transportation issue, we had, what was the other big one? The artificial turf, like all those
Yeah.
things are, I feel like it's.
Oh, and the programs of choice, school
Programs of
focus,
choice, like a lot of these things.
it's on the agenda.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like that worked the way it should have. I'm trying to think of things.
Same thing
that
with
were-
the transportation people coming in, like that actually, because otherwise, I mean,
No, that's,
No, that's
That's
actually an
normal.
example of where it didn't, that wasn't, I
Okay,
think
yeah.
that was last year. That was actually a not a good thing.
Right.
All the families came in to talk to the board, nothing came of that. Like, that was frustrating for them and was frustrating for us because someone encouraged them to come to the board and that wasn't the right place for that.
but the thing is that if they were,
And that was.
they were, those, in that instance, like, I mean, I didn't tell them to come, you know, I didn't know they were coming, but maybe I found out they were coming, and I told somebody. But if, in that instance, they were frustrated with what was happening at the school site, right? And transportation is not controlled at the school site. Vince does not have any control over gets a bus ride to SMS or not. I mean, maybe he does, I don't know. But that's not like within his zone of control. So,
Well, it's not the board's either.
And they were going to grant, but I guess the most public way to go to grant is during the board meeting?
That's not the
That's
correct
not-
thing to do.
that's not-
Yeah, but I think that's, yeah, so this is my general space, I think there's a tricky space, and this is like true in government elected positions generally, right? So this is, we're coming from like not just me, but like a husband who's been in the government space for a long time, right? I think sometimes, so like there's a tricky space, like yes, you want them to come sometimes when like to share whatever. But I think it's a very natural, like all of us do this, right? It's a natural tendency. If people come to board meetings and are sharing thoughts, we think, oh, great, they're engaged, they're like, so it's like, we equate like people coming and talking as like they're engaged as positive. That's not necessarily not true, like I wouldn't say, no, that's wrong, but I think the system, like generally, the board meeting should be the last place they're coming to. So I want them to feel empowered to speak and go do things, but maybe like, right, and it's just a tricky space, like it's true everywhere, right? But like if the system is working, the elected bodies, the last meeting when you're voting on it is actually the least helpful time to come and make comments, right? And that is just true like at city stuff, like, so I think it's just a tricky space, I think, elected spaces, because it's an easy way to monitor, like, if people are coming, great, they're engaged, like, it's a much easier way to, like, recognize engagement, right? Like, oh, look at, we had 10 people come and speak, that's really engaging.
Words I have to.
Yeah, and so I think it's just a tricky space, not that we,
No, I know.
I think like the old space where nobody ever came at all, I don't think is actually super healthy either, but I do think that people are probably coming a little bit more than probably, again, like, how Mike was using that, like, it's not horrible, it's totally fine, there are places where I would say that is much worse,
Right.
where we would have to, like, we need to talk about this is not okay. I would say this is like, just a thing to be aware of and think about, are we making sure our system below coming to board meetings is working effectively?
Now, the math curriculum one or algebra curriculum one, that was an example of people came to the board. That was actually the right time for it, like staff messed up, right? Because that it had gotten to that point and they were feeling that they weren't heard. Like that's an example where, yeah,
Yeah.
we should have taken care. That was on staff, we should have taken care.
But the word is that the people aren't just coming because things are wrong, right? Like sometimes they're coming to advocate for other things and we encourage people. Like, I mean, who has, no, I don't know if I ever had time, before I was on the board, I never came to board meetings or anything. And now that they're on Zoom, I hear people say, oh yeah, I watched it later. Like I didn't watch it that night even, but I watched it later. So people, I think it's more open, having people participate, having people call in. There have not been hundreds of people packing our boardroom about random issues, knock on wood, right? Like,
No,
but we're coming into a contentious time and people are like, realizing that they need to speak up in public places. And so I would probably expect to hear more from people as we run into challenging situations,
Right.
And I think it's great, that people, actually, I think it's good that people is engaged. And we make policy that affect people. And at the time, we were talking about changing the policy of transportation, and that affects everybody, and they wanted to express their opinion. And I thought that was completely valid, because somebody comes to me and, rants about their kids now cannot go to school, and I go and tell Mike, and Mike might try to do something, or maybe it's too late or whatever, but how everybody else will know if it's not a Brown Act? Like, we cannot just go and tell everybody, hey, they are messing up this, and let's review it, let's pay attention. We cannot do that. And in a way, this is how we need to think that it works. Like, public schools are people's schools. They are our bosses. We represent them, and we are their representatives of the staff, and then the staff is like, we hire the experts who know how to educate and make the system work, and everything goes down all the way to the teachers and the people who fix the school and paint the wall or whatever. But we are part of the people, and if we don't hear the people, then why are we here?
Oh, I agree. I guess what I'm saying.
We shouldn't be here then. Who is like a dictator
No,
somewhere?
I don't disagree. I guess what I'm saying is that part of the cycle that's missing is like Michelle said, is empowering people to understand the touch points in the system where they need to have access. And for them to give feedback, if they come to you, to give feedback, hey, how did it go with the meeting, did you get resolution? And then that's the time to make sure, you know, it's that feedback loop that I don't necessarily see that is happening with intentionality.
And I disagree with you.
think you would see that.
Yeah.
Like, it would be invisible. If someone came to me with something and I went to Mike about it, you wouldn't
Yeah.
see that.
You would
So
never see it.
You will never see it.
There
no.
is stuff that I've gone to Mike about, and there's stuff that has not been handled, like, that people are unsatisfied about. I think that's the stuff that like leaks out of public comment, and there have been a couple of times when when it's not on an agendized topic and it is general public comment, but I think for the most part.
Well, but what I'm saying is the part that is missing is that, do you get feedback, do you ask for feedback from people after you set them into the system about how's it going? So that you would know,
How do you know that we don't do that? How do you know?
I'm asking the question.
You're not asking the question. You weren't asking, I mean, I'll just disagree with you. I'll agree to disagree. I get what you're saying.
So the other question I have is like, so the other thing that comes to my mind that we've had public comment on that people want to have changes is the calendar. Like, I don't think there is a point in which they can go to the principal about the school calendar. So I think this calendar, for example, is a district level thing, and that's fair to bring up at a district board meeting. Is there a different touch point there?
No, I would say, I don't know for sure because I'm not one of the superintendents, but I think people used to go to the superintendent more.
Okay.
And now they're coming to the board,
Okay,
which
that's,
on these like little details that really kind of might say sometimes, or I mean, even things, some of the things we technically vote on is not really our spaces because they're very detailed things, right? So I think that's like the transfer, like technically we vote on that. But like really our stuff is the like higher arching and staff, so really like a lot, sometimes those concerns actually. And again, it's, I'm not saying people shouldn't be making comments or talking because absolutely, and I love that we have helped empower, right? Like help people recognize like and they can come, like I'm not saying people can't come to our board meetings, right? Like
Yeah.
if they want, wherever they wanna come and go, but I think people are coming more often directly to the board meetings. And that actually is not the most effective place to get things.
Yeah, I think, like, just take the calendar, for example. How many people came and talked about that? Was it 5?
Well, no, see, I don't think they all came to talk about the
Yeah.
No,
calendar.
I'm just saying.
I think there was
I'm talking
one,
about the
I think
calendar.
one
Hold on.
person, I think one person came to talk about the
Okay,
calendar.
one person talked about the calendar.
But then other people were in the room and they're like, me too.
Okay, 5 people talked about the calendar. Alright. What you don't wanna do as a board is make a decision based on the 5 people who showed up and talked about it. Like, that's
Right.
really not.
Okay, now I have a question. If,
But I'm sorry, but you're right, you should ask staff, like, hey, how did we get parent input on the calendar? Like, that's a really good question.
now, I do have a question there about, if you know, it's like what the law say, what the meaning of the law, the what is the heart of this? Then in Roberts and in Brown Act and in all these laws, if we shouldn't care about the calendar, why do we have to vote on that? Why don't you just take a unilateral decision and say, this is the calendar, live with it? And then if we don't care about what people think about it, why do they have to speak before we say anything? Why do they have the right and by law they need to speak first? We cannot move before they speak if we don't care what they say.
I think,
I think you do care what they say.
yeah, I mean, it's a public meeting. We have public comment for a reason, you're right. I think that what was being said was that if things rise to the level of people needing to make a comment on an agendized topic because their kid is being bullied, then something is wrong. Like that shouldn't have been
Right.
handled at the board meeting. And I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But these other things, these agendized topics, I think it's perfectly reasonable that we have public comment about them.
Yeah, but she, like what Michelle was saying is that there are a lot of things that we shouldn't care, we just vote for them, like,
That's
then
not what I was
why
saying.
are we
Did not say
voting
that.
them, why are they there?
I didn't think
But let's maybe make a note of this, Mike, and this might, like, cause that, I think this is just fundamentally different opinions about how governance works.
Yeah.
So just we should.
How would you characterize that?
I don't know.
So that's under, I think that's like.
But I think her question is one that I struggle with. I mean, so I think it's that general question is a good question too. Of like if we're not supposed to go in the weeds, why are some of the things we're approving in the weeds? So maybe right that is one specific thing, and that is a thing, right? That like took me a lot of
Right.
years to let.
But
Right.
see, that's a part of the contracted, it's a part of employee contract, and we approve their contracts, and so therefore that's the reason why the calendar is
That's
on.
But you know, every time I vote yes on something, it's like every time people go and somebody who was a senator for 30 years wants to go for presidency or something else. People go down and say, oh, but you vote yes on 25 years ago, there was a vote about this thing and you vote yes, so you are a pollutant. Like, because they put their name, if you
So
vote
you're
yes.
taking it seriously.
Yeah, if you vote yes, if I vote yes on hiring somebody, I trust that we did everything that the law means to hire somebody and it wasn't a weirdo or a crazy person. So yes, sure, go and hire because we are hiring experts. But after all, I'm saying yes, go and hire this guy because I trust that the chain is working. But I'm putting my name, hire them. I vouch for that person. And if that person goes and kills somebody, was my vote to hire that people. Otherwise, they wouldn't ask me. They just hire it and go for it, you know? So every time I vote yes, I need to take seriously that
Or
I
no,
know what's going.
Or no, it's not just yes, it's
Yeah.
yes or
Well,
no.
yes or no. Like if I voting no on something or voting yes, I'm putting everything in perspective and making a
I gotcha.
decision, and I need to take it seriously because it's my word, it's my belief, it's what I think that my community wants. So if I'm voting yes on a calendar, it's the same as if I'm voting yes on hiring a principal or hiring somebody. I just need to trust that the system was
The
there.
calendar is probably a good case study for when we come back to
The
that.
calendar, yeah, and I think
Like, what
the
are the
space of
parts of the-
trusting the system, right? Because that's also part of it, like
What are the parts
how
of
do
the
we build
calendar
it,
that, as a board, you should be concerned about, and what are the parts that you shouldn't?
What I loved about the calendar conversation was it was like, hey, we tried this, we tried to switch, we were gonna switch the late start, the early release and the late start, we were gonna amend that. And it did not go over well with the parent community and we couldn't get the coverage and all that other stuff, and then we had that conversation, so like,
That was a good switch.
that's something, like, that's something that it did affect the community, we had to hear from people, we didn't know, we tried something, it didn't work, whatever, and it's not like, you know, the people who commented about the calendar, like, just consider this or just consider that, it's like, we just, I think at the time as a board, we just like, they got to say what they felt, they didn't read the packet, it's the only reason they were here. And, well, they were here for other things too, but then we like, somebody asked Jeremy, he's like, or whoever, we said, so, what do you think about that? You know, let's restate the question. And then the staff answers the question. So it's not like the board is going, well, I would like a date for this and, like, this is my birthday, give it to me up. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, I don't think any of that's going on, and I hear what you're saying. You know, I think it originally came back to like this idea that like, not when someone comes to me, they have a problem with their principal, and I'm just saying myself, I don't know, like, am I going to Mike, or am I telling them, no, you should go back and talk to your principal, or you're having a problem with your teacher, then you should talk to the principal. That's an easier one. You just say, go talk to the principal. But if I hear like several people say the same sort of thing, then I might go talk to Mike and say, Mike, got like 3 or 4 neighbors saying this.
So we're at about 55 minutes, and I think we want to cover some more.
Well,
We can keep talking about this more.
only 2 effective.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of them are, the yellow ones are about working effectively with each other and what it means
Yeah.
to work as a board. So I think that, we just covered it in this.
Board celebrates district accomplishments.
Yeah, 47, I was looking at that.
47.
I don't know, I think we do. Let's try to.
Maybe we can do a little more.
Well, I think I was less often on this one because we were
Which one are we talking about?
47.
Oh, we're skipping page 3?
Yeah, well, I don't know why we're going to 47, but I have.
Because it was yellow.
We talked
So
about
we're gonna go back to
having-
the other one then?
Well, the other one is about board.
Well, we skipped a page,
Work
what
each
I'm
other.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll
the
go
third
back.
page, because it's very late, everything is about working together, and I think we we are covering that with our discussion.
I don't think the two yellows are about working together at all.
Yeah, we're gonna.
More effectively orients new members.
And then.
We talked
Board
about
members
that.
being prepared, but those aren't about our relationship with each other.
Yeah.
The board members come to meeting prepared.
Yeah, what did we mean by that?
I do not always send my packet questions in. That's
Oh, so you're like outing yourself?
Yeah, I'm outing
You
myself.
outed yourself.
That's me. Like, honestly, I don't,
So
I'm sorry.
that's kind of funny, so I'm the only one, only one who put almost always
I
on
put
number
often.
4.
I put often.
So everyone else did lower, since I'm the only 4 now.
I don't remember what I put. We're always speaking at the moment.
Well, you didn't put almost always, because I'm the one who did that. So then there was a dip.
I put often.
Did you do last often out of yourself?
Yeah, I did, that's me.
I think sometimes people roll into a meeting and they're not present. It takes a little while to get on topic and on target. So part of meeting preparation is to remember what we've already done. And I think sometimes as we've gotten off into weeds about discussions, that we haven't remembered what we already agreed to. That's a part of, I consider that a part of preparation. That's why it's.
I'd like to talk for a minute, ironically, about number 29.
Yes.
Yes. It's the art of managing the agreement.
I don't really know what that means in this context. But what I mean here is, my observation, and this comes from staff as well, is we have no problem with the meeting going to 9 o'clock, 9:30, or even 10 o'clock if it needs to. But board discussion often meanders.
So you would almost connect 29 and 30 then, look at 30, so I think those are connected.
Yeah, actually, yeah,
And 30 is actually one that we have, even though it's blue, it kind of does what yours, like
Yeah.
a 2 and a 1, only 2 did on that.
like the discussion doesn't, like I said, it often meanders. And there's also an element of, I remember this like 20 years ago when very few board meetings were televised. I remember they saying like, oh, as soon as you get on television, you don't have television anymore. The meetings will get longer because people are aware that it's being recorded or it's on TV or whatever, and that.
Even a
I-
subconscious
I
thinking,
think-
oh, that's interesting, I
I think
remember
there's an element of that.
Could it be a 40 slide deck that we get before discussion?
I think that maybe is a little bit of it, but our meetings.
But those have gotten a lot better though.
I think our meetings used to end at 8:30. I'm not saying that was good. But they.
Yeah.
And those were even 8:30 with a 7 o'clock start sometimes.
Yeah, or 6:30 start. So I think that's something to be aware of. And I need to say this on behalf of staff.
Yeah.
We have to remember, staff are coming from counties away. So anytime that, and that's not me, it takes me 15 minutes to get home even though it's downtown San Jose at night. You have to be aware of every minute that you're talking is another minute that people are, and if it's productive conversation, that's fantastic. That's fine. But if it's not, we need to just be aware of that. And there's that part, there's the amount of time, and then there's also like organizing the discussion in such a way that it comes to a point that's gives clearer direction to staff.
I don't know why, but when I hear, and I haven't heard that many, maybe 2 or 3. Like Fremont High School, they are way more restricted the way how they work and talk. They talk less, they have less discussion about many things because they are very formal. But somehow the meetings go into midnight and 1 o'clock. So
Well,
I wouldn't say that it's because we talk, and I see a lot of people around that they normally have 5-6 hours meetings because some hot topic came and they keep discussing. So I don't feel like we're doing that bad, and we're doing way better than when we were at the pandemic.
Yeah,
During
there's
the
a hot
pandemic, they
topic.
were very
If
long.
there's an
we had-
important topic and there's the pandemic, that's one thing. You know, there's a charter school, so we all understand that we need to, it's gonna be a long meeting. It doesn't over. Yeah.
Well,
So
I'm
two
kidding,
meetings
I'm
ago,
kidding. You can say whatever you
2 meetings ago,
Yeah.
we had 2 agenda items. One was the facilities master plan. It made sense that we took a little longer on that. The second was something that could have been a consent agenda item. And we talked for an hour on the school plan, or not, yeah, the school plans. That's what, and we got out at 9:15 on an agenda that only had 2 items.
Of this, that was an 800 pages document, the school plans,
School plans for
the
students.
site plans.
Yeah.
But it's still, I think
School
what's
plans for students
tricky
are
is too, that's one of those things that falls under the, like, technically we have to approve it, but it's really more detailed, it's like, that's a staff level, right,
Yeah.
that, so it is, so
But
that's one of those ones that falls into those tricky spaces.
Yeah,
And that,
Right, and we had talked about in the previous, we talked about giving staff time to implement the strategic plan and that the school site plans are also being incorporated into the new strategic plan. And so the detail may not, the detail might not have been there that people wanted, but it's an evolving document.
just something to be aware of.
Yeah.
Like, how do we organize our conversation so that it comes to a point and that it's not meandering? Or if someone has an idea, say like, hey, this is off topic, but can we discuss this at another time? Move on.
Yeah.
Something
And it is, as you're like talking, right, and I'm reflecting, right, it's a tricky space because we are all mostly extroverts, want to chat, right? Like when I came onto the board, like Reed and I were the only extrovert chatters, right? And so we now have an almost entire board of, right, so that's also just, right, you gotta be mindful of that too, right? Like we're all people
Some
who
people,
love to talk and discuss and chat.
Peggy's super quiet.
yeah, some
And so we should be mindful of that, right? We gotta, I
Yeah.
mean, not that we can't talk and have discussions, because
Yeah.
we are gonna be a board who's gonna talk more than the board I got on 8 years, whatever
So-
years ago.
So my thing to you, especially with 2 new board members coming on, you need to use the power of that preliminary document, that preface. And put, before you come with the recommendation, there, or the document, there's that, here's what we do with it. You're gonna have to beef up those. If you want meetings to run on time, anticipate the questions and answer the questions in the paper to help give more guidance for new board members.
what are you talking about?
Do you
But
mean
there's-
the packet questions or
Packet
do you?
questions, yes.
Not packet
No,
questions,
no,
you're talking about the
no.
board, and so like that first page or the page that gives the
You
information.
mean the description on the agenda item?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, but then we have packet review, and packet reviews are longer than ever too.
Yeah, but just
no,
like,
no,
think
no,
about,
no.
Mike, right, but thinking about, right,
Yeah.
how can we try to, and you know for questions, right, that's just something you can be mindful of.
But if you give more information up front, anticipating what a new board member might need to know,
That could
the
potentially
who,
help.
what, where, when, and why, you all know it because you've all been doing it, but somebody who's coming in new needs to know the who, what, where, when, and why.
Okay.
And if you can give that to them up front, it's gonna cause,
Great.
it's my belief.
Point taken. Are we ready to move on?
Yeah,
I'm modeling now. How do
And
we
I would
do
say
that?
in 30, oh, go ahead.
how the board don't celebrate accomplishment, how can we improve
This
that?
is me. I want
Yes.
kids here and cookies for them, like they do at Fremont. That's,
So,
I want to do that. We talked about doing this, I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, about having the kids come in and doing the nice presentation for each school and doing like celebrations, and I want kids and cookies.
Yeah, and
I
but
say
somebody
what-
like
I
that
would say what's
idea,
tricky is
I
because
was
it was
wondering
gonna
too.
connect with the school presentations,
Yeah.
we have stopped on the school presentations.
Right, but we talked about
So
it.
finding
We
a
talked
different-
about finding a way to bring the, we've been
Right.
talking about this for 2 years and it never happens, it's probably never happened.
Well,
No,
when you were
because
board
we're not-
president, that was your opportunity to do it.
you build the agenda.
I asked for it, we ask for it every other week, apparently nobody wants to do it, it's too much trouble to bring kids, like, why are you bringing kids, I wanna go to sleep, I don't
That's
know.
fair. Well, that's fair, kids do like.
Well, are you talking about for every meeting?
Parents
or
don't wanna
weekly?
go,
Okay,
parents
so
are busy.
This is a
blah,
lot,
blah,
this
blah.
this makes a lot more sense at the high school district, because their kids are older and also they have fewer schools, but what
And
they
a lot of
do.
those kids can probably get in there.
Yeah, exactly, but so we talked about not
This is
having the school
presentation the way we used to, because like it was just the principal standing there, and then like maybe we asked them too many questions, and we're like, instead of making it like this awkward, like you're on the spot, firing squad sort of like atmosphere, we should make it happier, we should have kids, we should be celebrating, and that's what I
Or
was
like
thinking.
celebrate or
Yeah,
Let's bring the kids to do
Yeah,
the
we
once
don't
a
have-
month,
we don't have
the
kids, but
Pledge of Allegiance and the recognition, and apparently that was a stupid idea too, so.
No one said it was stupid.
So,
You're not jumping to extremes.
Why are you gonna bring the kids like?
That
That's
was
gonna
the
take too
question,
long.
is, well, first of all, our meetings already go too long. That extends it. Also, who is that, this is the feedback, because I presented it to the principals, and the principals unanimously came back with, who is that for? Is that for the kids, or is that for the adults?
yeah,
And the
So
conclusion was it's really for the adults. This thing says we need to celebrate district accomplishments, that doesn't necessarily mean bring kids to a board meeting. There's other ways of doing it.
yeah, that's fine.
There it goes.
Doesn't mean it's a stupid idea.
so like, for example, one way of, I was thinking not of like just the flag salute or whatever, but I was at Campbell School District last couple of years ago, and they were like for one of their board meetings, and they actually had twice a year they had the reclassification, not at the individual school sites, but in the boardroom with cookies. And it was celebrating their district goal around reclassifying kids.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think something like that might be something we could consider. I know it's more work for the families and who would get here and how many kids do you have and would they all fit in the boardroom. It's like, but I mean, there's so many ideas of ways that if we wanted to target, like even just, not just for the sake of having cute kids around, but for the sake of like, you know, reinforcing a district goal or something.
I need to just admit that I said kids and cookies for the alliteration, not
Okay,
because of
that's fair.
desire.
That's fair.
Not technically,
Yeah,
just
not literally
the-
that.
But maybe like
with the
things
zoo
that are,
animals, petting zoo?
I'd like to point out that the other 5 out of 5 is on page 4, number
Yeah.
36.
Yeah, the board uses cohesive messages to communicate district priorities, goals, and needs.
Where's that?
Which one, you're not, that's not 36.
36.
Page 5 out of 5,
Which one were you, which
36.
number were you reading?
54, the only yellow on page 5 out
Oh.
of 5.
I was on a positive.
Okay, I
I was
also, so
celebrating
can I
the
also just quickly go back to page 3, this is a short one. But the yellow of 34, I think we have, that's the board effectively orienting new members. It's not horrible, but it's not great. So we have 2 chances to get that one better coming up, so let's just work on that.
yeah, we talked about it. We agreed, I thought, yeah, we agreed.
One thing
to
I
that.
thought about doing is with the 2 new members, you know, we have the president and the vice president, like they have packet review. So
Oh,
the
yes.
2 new members, I could have them come in at the same time, not at the same time. as the others,
Yeah, but they
have
come
them
together.
And go over the path.
And go over the packet.
Which I think is my idea.
Unless we nominate one vice president. In which
Well,
case.
Yeah, so anyway,
Okay,
Um,
and then we're, oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say on page 4, so again, this is like one of those like small, just to take note, 39. The board adopts clear measurable indicators to assess district performance, so it's not bad, but there's only one at the almost always, and then 3 of us put the often, I think that's what I put. So I think, right, but I think we're getting there, right, like. So, but I just wanna make note of that since there was only one in the almost always.
Okay, we can move on, so move on to the
Are
last
we
one.
ready for 54, which is the last yellow? Yellow. Or uses cohesive messages to communicate district priorities, goals, and needs. If the people are unsure,
Well, one of the unsure is just Peggy.
So
she
one,
didn't fill
so
out.
I did unsure on that one, and the note I put is, board or staff does this, question mark. So that, I was the one who did the unsure on it.
Yeah, cause I don't,
Yeah.
okay, so are we done with this item?
do you wanna talk about that one?
I don't know.
We can
So I guess what I would do, what the other thing that I would say is that there's an opportunity for the board president, when they're summarizing the board's action, to make sure that the message that's going out is cohesive and clear about what the action of the board is. So that's another opportunity.
At the end of each action item,
Yes,
to just restate.
to restate what it is that we did, because that would also, once again, give a little bit more clarity and clear direction about that as well. And I think that your strategic plan will help in the overall guidance about what the articulation of our goals and priorities.
Hey, Mike, did you make a note, just going back to the about the board celebrates district accomplishments? So two people put almost always. I was one of the ones who, I think I did the 3 on that one. No, I did a 2 on that, so I was one of the ones who gave the less often.
Yeah.
Is that one we want to bring back at another governance meeting to discuss, or some people feel like we're good and we just wanna leave it? I'm good either way, I just wanna have an intentional decision about that.
I'm happy to discuss celebrating district accomplishments. I think that's,
Came up last time too.
Yeah.
Seems like.
I think it's kind of a thing we've been talking about, but nothing's really, maybe to add that on. And then my only last comment is,
But thank you for organizing the 125-year thing, that to
yeah.
pick that up.
Okay, my only other comment is also on 58, I put a 3, so the often. And I just put, the reason I put a 3 is because we could do better with, oh gosh, I can't remember that.
I agree.
With the Spanish speaking community.
Oh, yeah.
So right, not horrible, I mean, but that's just why I gave the 3, not the 4.
So which one was that?
Number 58, so the very last one, the
58.
board informs the community on district priorities, needs, and opportunities for involvement.
Mhm.
And it doesn't most of us put often, not always, I don't know other people,
Yeah.
but just, that would be my reason of the 3 was,
Yeah, that's
we could do a little bit better with Spanish speaking community.
So I wasn't even thinking of the Spanish speaking community, I was thinking of when I was on the Ed Foundation board for that board position, board rep, and they said, well, give us a update on what's going on at the board meetings, so I would give a little summary of what's coming ahead in the board meetings, right? And then a lot of the parents in the room were like, oh, you guys are talking about curriculum adoption, oh, I really wanna go, And so, oh, you're talking about transportation, or you're talking about nutrition, oh, we should go to that, I'm interested, I'm gonna definitely listen to that meeting or come or whatever. And I think that having I talked to Mike about it, and the initial idea was no, it's already covered in the district digest, but if we wanted parents to know what we're talking about or give us input, we no longer have the board at SCSD that we had during the pandemic, where they didn't have to write to individual board members, but you could just email the whole board if you had an idea about the agendas. A lot of boards have that. And then have the,
Wait, we have that, we still have that.
we don't have that.
I
was
tested
told.
it a few weeks ago.
Oh, I was told that we don't have it anymore.
Leah?
Do we still have the board at SCSD address?
I tested it.
That is, at
You-
least school.
It got brought up in a meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
were told
We
no.
tested it and
During COVID.
Okay,
It was a COVID thing.
No,
that's what I was told
I,
in the meeting.
So if you,
So we're not- so anyway,
email-
So if I was thinking if we're getting all the newsletters now, right? And so my thought was, well, maybe that would be a place, to get information out about what we're doing. It could be a board
wait,
corner
what
or
could be a
something.
place, sorry.
The school newsletters or
School
something,
newsletters.
right? And so that was and I put out there as an idea, is that a possibility? And it was no,
Yeah.
it's in the district digest.
Leah has a comment.
Yeah, so, and that's fine, right? But if we wanna let people know who are doing things and only looking at things the week of, people, there might be other ways, whether it's you know, whether we as a board in our own way are like letting people know, like in some districts, some board members, like when Jody Muirhead was board president, she was like, she would give a Facebook update and say, here's what's on the board, right?
That was very.
Yeah, and Jessica was doing that for a while with like what was happening on the county board or something. So just to kind of, like, we as board members could find a way, if it's not through the newsletters, if it's not through the district
So
site.
let's see what Aaliyah was gonna say, because she tried to
Yeah.
call time out.
And I think what's super helpful too is just driving folks to existing places to get information, such as the digest or our Facebook.
The Facebook does that.
Because we don't wanna divide followers when we can consolidate and build and just make it really strong.
So
it's
better
not-
advertising the current spaces.
It would be
idea, maybe.
helpful, or
So-
sharing or commenting
Yeah.
on our existing posts that actually through the algorithms helps more eyes get on it. So rather than splitting it up, reposting the district.
No, those algorithms.
Yeah.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah, and I usually repost the Facebook thing, but I mean, also, I mean, just saying that like, people are interested in like what the topics are, and sometimes I get like the Facebook thing like the day of, or you know what I mean, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's a lot of communication that's happening at the district level, but like if do they mean like us as board members, or do they mean us like as a board?
So,
We're choosing a thing, and I don't know what the
Yeah,
answer
I
is,
think
so that's why I sort of said, well, most of the time
Yeah.
you.
When I was doing that communication, although in the last 2 months I asked for a break, but I'm gonna keep doing it, is like the voicing for the community on district priorities. I saw it like, well, everything we do is public record, so I went first to the last 2 agendas, because once a month, and then to the next agenda and see, okay, this is about all this stuff, and I noticed like, oh, we're talking about curriculum in math, we're talking about this, and I made a list. Then I went to my final like week, oh, well, we're talking about this, we're talking about the break, and then the main points. And then I went back and see, well, what of these main points are really important, and then I talk like, even though like we've been talking about, and we're gonna be talking about in next meeting. So when I gave that to and I did a big document that sometimes was a little bit too long, but again, it's like a whole perspective of what is happening. And then I gave it to the Education Foundation. And then people started to get more interested. Oh, wow, you're going to be talking about facilities. And then they figured out that we were going to be talking about artificial turf. Probably like, oh, is this coming? And, they figured out things that otherwise they may not know. But then I remember that it came from the idea that Jody was doing, because Jody was taking the agenda and every, like twice a month, she was doing like, okay, let's read. This is item number 2. Well, this refers to this document, and when we talk about blah, 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 this is what it means. And then she wasn't saying she was gonna vote pro or against, because that would be
There were no opinions, it was just.
no
information.
opinion. This is what it means to have a
Oh, she did like a
curriculum. This
video.
is
Yeah,
yeah,
it
she
was
did
like a tutorial.
a Facebook Live, and then this is what a curriculum is, and this is what we approve, and this is how we got to here. Well, we got 10 teachers to look to these 3 things that somebody thought that they were the best, and then we chose the 3, and then they chose, and then this is their answer, and then you explain what it is and how they came to that conclusion, and why we're voting on this and not on the other.
so that's something that each board needs to decide, because this adds a lot more bandwidth to whoever is going to be doing it. I once again think that
No, I'm not suggesting that, and I was willing to do it 2 years ago, and Elias told me like, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that, we will do that if it's
Yeah.
necessary, but.
Yeah, I think the Facebook or key communicator, some other, push it out to the community.
We'll talk
That's
about it.
I think at Dems Club, Patrick was talking about how if you want to be engaged, then you need to meet them where they're at. So we need to be able to share these things where people are going to be sharing them on our page, but do I personally have a lot of friends in Sunnyvale who might be interested in this? Maybe I should share it on Sunnyvale Moms or other places where people are going to be seeing these things. And
Well, you made like,
But then-
she said, you made a different account that you call Aileen council member, it's not your friend, because your friends probably don't care or
Right.
care less. And
But that,
then they go to that one and someday is gonna start telling, hey, they are gonna explain this thing that is going on, and then somebody is gonna start catching up and.
I would suggest that we don't have to solve this now.
Yeah.
We just pay attention to the fact that it's.
Okay, so with that, we can move to the next item, I think, if everybody's okay, which is item number 4A. Huh?
We're rush through break.
Okay.
Plus the next one's super short.
Governor's.
Okay, so let's take 5 minutes, it's 7:20, let's come to 7:25.
more water with that.
Do we need to bring chocolate too?
Yes.
I don't think we will complain.
No.
I forgot to get the Reese's cups.
Jeremy, can I snag this one from you?
Oh, yeah.
Give it to Maggie to look at while we're going through it. So just here's a copy that you can look at. So this is what we're discussing, so we're discussing it.
Okay, I've never had Mexican food with no salsa.
Oh,
Who does that?
I was up I mean, my enchiladas were nice, but I don't know why I got into, I was already full and then I started eating the beans.
I don't know,
Too heavy to go.
Maybe they package things differently, they thought that they put all the sauces on the side on two separate things.
I had the enchiladas, the other kinds of sauce.
Huh? Did you like?
Enchiladas.
Yeah, I had it all, I mean, enchilada was very.
Happens before that, like, the love, and then, you know.
I don't know.
I just thought it was really
Now I'm like, just enough. I never eat because of that.
It makes good thing.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just like, why, it's difficult to stop.
We just maintain it, we just maintain all those.
We just create them.
Yeah.
I like your hair, you.
Oh, yeah.
You have
I got it, yeah, and they redid it. Same,
I like it.
Oh,
Yeah, she said, you wanna redo?
The brouhaha, federal already talking about.
I got mad with my lady last time because she's
So-
I told you
completely
about that.
different,
You
and
did.
then she charged.
Actually was at the
Way more.
CEO symposium today.
My guy went up
Yesterday
almost
and
$100 from what I paid
There's
last
a lot
time.
of talk.
Really bummed. I'm like, oh man, I don't wanna find it.
350 and this time was like 550. And she didn't do the thing that she always does, she did it different.
Well, but he can't do everything he wants
I
to.
haven't been able to. find
Yeah,
any
that was the
I know,
message, they were
I'm
like,
Yeah.
we probably should just
We're still being
let
recorded, so we
them
better not-
try and just watch how a lot of it fails at the
Very
door,
aggressive.
you know? It's like, okay, you wanna eliminate the Department of Education, probably is not gonna happen.
Well, and
You're still being
having all the money go to
recorded, by the way, you're
to
still
board.
being recorded right now, FYI.
Okay, we have 7 minutes, so we're gonna start the recording again. If we stop, it is 7:28 now, 8 minutes. So, and we are moving to 4A, which is review and discuss the government's handbook. So what are the changes? I think there was a document with the changes in specific.
There is not a document that is specific.
So that was my question too,
Yeah,
Where's the
and
deadline?
we currently do not know where, so essentially what happened is like, I mean, so the main thing was the trustee area page, right? So hopefully you guys all read that page and it's like giving it to us, so that was the main thing. But then also, right, like, as Nancy's coming off, right, like Nancy went through it, kind of like things, right? And so if they were like just quick, simple, wouldn't be something we would definitely discuss, we made a few of those changes. I'm gonna do my best to remember those since we don't have the paper where we had made all those notes. And then Nancy, like the ones that Nancy had, like this into consideration, I have a page of notes for when in the spring, it can be someone other, like it could be one of the two board members. Well, new board member, but it could be one of the two, or I kind of figured it would be me because I've been working with Nancy, that me with like Peggy would, if Peggy's okay with that, in the springtime, right? We would then do like a bigger dive that like Bridget and Eileen, it was you two that did it last time, right?
And then the first, when I came on, it was me and Nancy.
So like doing that, so a bigger dive then. Anyway, so, I mean, clearly that, we just plugged in the strategic plan and stuff, right? So all of that is there first. And then, I don't think there was any changes to these two pages, page 8 and 9. That I am remembering. Mike and Nancy, you guys can kind of try to help me a little bit since we don't have that paper.
Unity of purpose. We talked about that, but I think we just talked about that in terms of like.
Well, yeah, and we talked about when we do the bigger dive, probably connect, like this can probably be connected with like the trust areas and other stuff, so we had conversations, but I don't think we changed anything in there. And then the governance team norms and rules, I don't think, because that's kind of, that would be more of everyone talking about, so nothing, I don't think any change there.
What page you gonna do?
Well, I'm now jumping to page 10, which is the trustee area page.
Oh, yeah.
So, does anybody like, do we like how that's worded, are we good with that? So the vision is, right, it's basically that, there'll be a few other small things. The idea is to have the discussion now, so it can go on consent agenda to be approved at our next meeting. So we at least have an actual approved document that's not like 2 years old.
So that you can orient.
So I thought that, for some reason, I thought when we were talking about it, that we were gonna make it a more evergreen, or do we wanna have our names on?
When you say more evergreen,
Like more just like have the trustee areas labeled, like so, cause it's actually very hard to read the key when the map is that size, and so instead of having our names there, we would just have like, it would be, instead of Bridget Watson, trustee area 1, it would be like purple trustee area 1, or you know what I mean, or like, it would be more evergreen, so no matter who. But I mean, I guess it's only 10 years, so flip a couple times, but is our intention, right, is to sign it every year?
Yeah.
I think that was the idea, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
the
then it
idea
doesn't
is
matter.
every year, there's slight adjustments, where bigger adjustments after a new board member, if there's some, for some reason, there's some problem happens that we have to like address something and we might do a bigger change, but.
Okay, so then my other question, so my thought is that maybe we need an extra key other than the key that's inside there. You know, cause the map is so small, so like I'm
Is
yellow.
that important for the governance handbook?
I do think it is important because I think people who are gonna, like, I got a copy of the governance handbook when I was interested in running for the board. That's something Ben gave me.
Yeah.
So I think it would be, having it legible is like important. I mean, I don't really care about the layout or color. So
Yeah.
I just thought maybe even just take it, if it's a PDF, just like do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside, like, just so it's clear. And then the other thing was,
Having the numbers in each of the sections.
yeah,
That's a
like
good
where it's,
idea. Is that possible, Jesus and Aaliyah?
You have it on the website, don't you?
It's on the website already.
Yeah.
So if anybody needs to see the actual clear map, it's on the website, they can download.
Yeah, that'd be a lot
I mean, I
Cause putting numbers on this map
not
would be
hard.
tricky or no?
would assume
Cause
that.
that's just a PDF, right, not a link?
This is just a PDF
Yeah, so you just put
inserted.
number 4 on the PDF. Like number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the
Yeah.
PDF.
So does that make sense and would that
I know
work
what you're saying,
easily?
that added numbers to the different color
Inside
areas.
each area, yeah.
Inside.
Try.
The other, if we were to print this in black and white, I think having a pattern instead of a color, a grayscale color would be better, but also,
Or just lines.
or just lines
I
or
also
something.
think
Cause I can't.
I
this is
can't
not that
believe-
public
Well,
facing of a
it's not.
document.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, if this was like, I agree, like, we wanna be really good if this is like up on our website, we'll see, but for
Yeah.
this,
And
I don't think that's super good.
I don't wanna make a huge assumption, but I feel like most people would be able to look it up on the website, but I do wanna say that PDFs generally aren't accessible for people who have visual impairments, but that's not probably going to come up.
Also, I think, would Eileen be on this when she's signing it?
When are we?
Well,
Like,
we're gonna
if we're
sign
gonna
it
do it in
next meeting.
January, Nancy and Eileen probably wouldn't be on here.
I
Probably
think we're
Peggy
gonna
would be
sign
on
it
the
next
12th.
meeting, that's what we're.
Yeah.
No, yeah, at our next meeting, it is gonna be, we need to have, this was supposed to actually happen before the election as well, we
Right.
asked.
Yeah.
We have, the current one is 2 years old, we have to have this approved, so this is the one that's gonna get approved,
On the Thursday before.
yeah, on that December
December
12th, whatever day meeting is.
And then we'll.
And then, so then it's just,
So then the next time.
right, so
we'll
if it's
update-
really important to you, we can change names, but then
But if
we
we're,
probably
if
wait a
we're,
few months to change the names.
but I thought that we were gonna be, if we're signing it in January, this is my point. If we're signing it in January, the pages that say sign Nancy Newkirk and
Well, so
sign-
if we would sign in January, that would be approving it again, so we could make the changes, so we could,
Okay,
we need to have a new document. If it's
Okay.
important to change names, then in January,
that's fine.
we do a quick change and we sign it. Does that work?
Okay.
Because what this means is when you sign it, you've gone over it,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
That's the other.
Okay, the CSBA page, that page wouldn't change, because that just comes from CSBA, page 11. These next 2 pages, we didn't change at all, because that was just come from something. Again, a later discussion might happen, but nothing was changed there.
Right, because this is kind of
Yeah.
what CSBA has.
So then on page 14, so I couldn't tell you exactly which changes we fully made without seeing like an older version, but I do know we did, I think that very last bullet is totally brand new.
I have a question.
And that was just generally it's the practice we do, but we didn't have that practice in here, so we were just putting in our practice.
Last bullet under meetings.
So under board president duties on meetings, we were just adding the practice that we have. Okay, what was your question?
My question is, remember we had markups that were in a document, right? And it came back,
Those
oh,
older
were
version
never-
markups.
That, and said that was never approved.
Yeah.
So are those changes in here?
Yes.
Okay,
I think the verb is synthesize and not synthesis, synthesis I think is now.
Which one?
So the very last
The
bullet of
very
that,
last bullet of that.
Change that.
I see, I don't know grammar stuff, so that's not very, me, I can't help it.
synthesizers.
You're referring to?
Generally, the board president is the last to speak as they hear the whole discussion, share their thoughts, and synthesize
Synthesize,
the idea into direction.
Page 14.
yeah.
Page 14.
We also then added, and again, I don't remember if it's the first, we might have just tweaked it, I don't remember, but the, third bullet, if the meeting is in person, the person presiding over the meeting should be in person.
Yeah, we talked about
And that's,
that
yeah,
a couple times.
yeah.
Doesn't say that.
So yeah, there's a chance, if I'm not, like, can't hold me two things, there's a chance something else in there was added, but I think everything
Where
else was already just there.
This is,
Third bullet.
That's just a funny phrase to say that 3 times, but I get it.
Which funny phrase?
The in-person person stuff, yeah. It is a good tongue twister.
the trustee.
Okay, I don't think we made any changes to page 15.
No.
I don't think we made any changes to superintendent's duties.
Actually,
Did
at
we?
some point, we.
Yeah, there is
We're
like
like,
a
you can't
empty
have it.
space there that is
You think we made a change?
I'm waiting for that.
You can't have it.
I think we made it match what's in my contract. Yeah, Jesus is here. So that's consistent.
Okay, but that probably maybe wasn't a conversation. That might have been, because right, we are dealing with whatever.
Maybe that was before.
Whatever their updates were, and then those updates after the three of us met, right? So that could have been in that, because I don't remember that. Okay, then, protocols, former structures and processes. I know we talked about it, Mike and Nancy, but did we, and I know I made some notes about things for future, but I don't know if we actually made any changes to this. I don't think we did. But I know we for sure talked about this space. You guys don't remember changes to
I
that?
think I'm confusing like the previous.
Because you were part of both of those, yeah. Okay. And I think that might have been all of it, right? There was maybe just like a
The site visit
typo.
protocols are new, you put those in there.
But that would have
was
been based
just
on
last
your
year.
guys' thing, not what we did.
That's right. No, I think that was based on what, the one you and I worked up, we put it in there.
Oh,
That was
okay,
ours.
yeah, but I'm saying like a previous, not the, like just the last couple months iteration.
Right.
Nancy, did you add something under the community engagement? I think we did a few tweaks of like adding like dates on things or, right, just getting more clarity, but there wasn't like a, you know. Did we actually add something on there too, or was it just tweaking something?
It was tweaking something and taking out something that no longer exists.
What page?
Sorry, page 22.
Median engagement.
Yeah. But yeah, but whatever it was just to like give, right, so like it might have been like, see how there's months there, it might have been like adding a month thing or just giving more clarity if there was a change there.
Oh, it was, it didn't get changed. The first 5 family resource is not at San Miguel.
Oh, that one needs to come off, that's what it was.
Yeah. It's at.
So do you see that?
Second to last.
Yeah.
So the second to last bullet on page 22, visit First 5 Family Resource Center at San Miguel.
It's at Columbia now.
Okay. And then we did something on the cheat sheet, I feel like,
Yes, we did.
but there is a chance if that back one didn't get made, then this one maybe didn't get made.
What about notify public open session of portions of board meetings are audio taped? Should we say they're video, audio and video?
Yes.
Page 24
That's
at
a
the
good
top.
idea.
Yes.
Do you catch that, Jesus?
Are being recorded via
So
audio.
page 24,
That's what I meant.
so under the second line, the
Just-
notify
just
public,
say you're-
open session portions of board meetings are recorded.
Yeah, recorded videos.
Because audio takes what we used to do.
You know,
Annalee would hold that little recorder and push start.
you know what we don't put anymore, and maybe we should at least put it on the agenda, that be about being cordial and civilized on comments, even if we don't read it
I
every
feel like,
time.
isn't that, I think, check the next page, it's there. It's there, it's all there. Just go to the next page. It's all there.
Okay, because that should maybe be on the.
Oh, this is what it is.
agenda.
Okay, so this is what it is. So on the same appendix cheat sheet,
26.
So-
page 26.
so on page 25, there's just these 2 bullets that we added, right? So if a quorum is present without the president, the next senior officer present may start the meeting. So we can put it somewhere else, but we just added that because that's like, right, helpful for people knowing. And then, if we talked about meeting times, and we were like, that's something we can deal with later. So that's just a note to say if we want to add that later, we can.
Right, because we had an agreement earlier about asking to extend the meeting when it came to 9.
Because now there's that 9:30 thing, so we just need to come up with wording, right, to
Where
explain
is
that to
that?
people.
This is a bullet.
So you're on
this is a
page
bullet point
25?
on 25.
Oh, I was in 26, because.
Yeah, no, so we're on
Okay.
page 25, so after 17, there's those 2 bullets, so that's what was added to this part.
Michelle, do you want to reference the board bylaw on that?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Thanks. Does that work for everyone else?
Yeah.
Just reference the board bylaw, like.
You're right about the civility.
No, it's right here, it's this. It's page 26, that's what we had worked on during COVID, and there's different versions and the different responses based on if like someone attacked, if someone didn't attack. All of it is right there.
So I think it's 100% appropriate that it's in the governance handbook. I just wonder, like, what's our protocol for when it happens in the moment? Do we go looking for the governance handbook or like?
No,
The president has
has
it.
a cheat sheet.
Then we should have.
The president.
In theory, the president would have the cheat sheet with them.
Okay.
I mean, so like, we
I
really
used-
mostly needed that during Zoom, right? So when we created, I can't remember who worked with me, but when we created this, I think you come with me, so when we created this, right, I was in the room by myself, but I had a copy of this next to me.
Okay.
Yeah, so
And even when I
And-
was doing the meetings, I would read the shorter version no matter what, but then,
We did it for a while, but then it kind of,
we stopped.
but I think we're kind
At
of
the end
okay,
of
I
that.
don't think we necessarily need to unless it starts happening again.
Well, I think we should have.
But it should be
So whoever's
available.
the president, we should have
Yeah.
that available and Jesus,
I said, I'll take care of it, I'll have it ready, so it'll always be there,
okay.
along with the gavel.
And there's
Perfect.
also
Or something.
somewhere else I was looking. Yeah, the post-amble, if they're personal, I don't know what that post-amble is.
The
If
attacks.
they're personal attacks on board members, what to do.
And maybe we should, because I think we talked about that time Jeff was here, and before we were doing this, we were talking about doing the thing about civic engagement. That moment we talk about putting it somewhere in the door when people are coming, but maybe at least in the comment card at the top, having this verbatim, like,
That's a good idea.
that would be a good.
Just the shorter version one.
yeah, shorter version.
The short version
be
preamble on
civic
it.
and
The comment.
I like that idea.
And for another time,
Very long time.
or maybe now,
Because in the
the rules need to be, in my opinion, the rules need to be the same if we're gonna continue to take comments online. I'm not convinced that we should, but I think you are, so I'm fine with that. But the rules should be the same.
Yeah, I agree.
You mean a total of 20 minutes regardless of where.
Oh, I mean that, also, if you have to fill out a card, and you, like, there should be some,
or something that
Not-
they should.
yeah,
Feel-
something.
Yeah, so here's another district where they had an online card, and if you wanted to make a comment online, you had to actually submit it in advance, like you had to do it.
Something like that.
There was a recording.
I think there is a virtue or a value to how easily it is to make comments online. But also, there is a part of me that thinks like, come to the meeting sometimes. So, like there's a couple meetings ago where someone was having trouble get on and his technology and all that, like, or you could drive down the street.
For some people, that's easier said than done, but I hear you.
I know, but not, and it's, I don't even know if a majority of districts, I'm sure it's a minority that take comments online.
Public comments online is less
Yeah,
common
so that's,
than it used to be.
at a very minimum, in my view, they should have to follow all the same rules.
And that's just us, yeah, because we could potentially be getting in trouble for that we're not doing the same. Which also reminds me,
Yeah,
we need to be better about everyone gets 3 minutes. Like, we have to, so that maybe is a later discussion, but I think we need to come up with a good protocol. Are we putting that on the board president? Are we putting that on the vice president? Are we putting it on staff?
It's so much easier on Zoom where you can just cut the mic. Like you can't do, but yeah, we have to.
I think we want to be,
We need a
we want to
audio
be in
cue.
a habit of a good practice, so when there are contentious things or issues, it
This
is
is
normal
normal.
to like,
yeah.
regardless of whether we agree with you or like you or know you or not, at 3 minutes, you're done, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, but I think that can be a later discussion of how we want to like, because it was like, because I remember I had to start enforcing it. And it was tricky, right? It is tricky as the board president to be leading all the meeting and be enforcing, so I'm not saying the board president should be the one doing it, but somebody,
Delegate
there
someone.
needs to be more clarity on that 3-minute timer and enforcing it.
There's in Robert's Rules of Order, that's the Sergeant of Arms, right?
Yeah.
So I just wanna say that that's not gonna fit on the comment card, especially because this is bilingual. So if we want the preamble, even a
Make it
short
bigger.
version, if we want this, and then also in Spanish, it's gonna be very small.
Well,
We'll
we
make
can
it
work
bigger.
with
Piece
that.
of paper.
Or something.
We don't have a lot of them, it's just.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to solve that here, but we'll work on it.
Okay, then going to page 27. Did we make, I know we talked about this page.
Yes, because, before it was 8 AM Monday and we have made,
Oh, but it hasn't been changed yet, so we wanna change that. So on Jesus, page 27, board members, number 4, board members review all materials and send questions to the superintendent. Well, really, it's superintendent and administrative assistant.
because I
Before-
followed and got.
Yeah, so we wanna add superintendent and administrative assistant, or whatever that your title is,
By what? time?
before or by, and I think it's 12 on Monday, right?
Yeah.
So you got that, yeah? Okay. Then this is the same. What every board member
Should
needs.
we- If everybody goes
This
to
is-
lunch at noon, maybe 1 o'clock.
I think it's fine.
No.
No,
No,
Because they need to, aggregate them.
And I don't think everyone necessarily goes to lunch, right?
so page 28 is different than what we did.
No, but that's just our old stuff, so we're just gonna have to at some point make a choice of. And I actually
It's similar.
I love this, but I think, I loved also where it has the individual board member thing, and I think that can be a helpful, like Eileen kind of did that on her own on the thing, but like she called herself out, right, on the prepared, right, like.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, so this is, I don't disagree that we need to have a conversation at some point, but that's a longer conversation to figure out, so that's just, I'm saying there's no change on that right now.
Right, and then the questions that we have here, the 3 questions, if we're gonna be doing, even with the CSBA, you can dive in deep, but you need to go up high about,
What questions are you talking about?
on page 29. What are our weaknesses, what was our biggest
Oh, at the
challenge
end,
this
got it.
year? Yeah, what suggestions you have for improvement? So that,
And we've used that in the past to like help facilitate this
Correct.
November conversation. Yeah, so that, yeah, so this can be tweaked, but that would be a bigger thing later on. Okay, and then it's the what every board member needs to know, and I think that's what I've got updated, that was something we went through.
Why is this? Why are these?
I do not know, Jesus,
Oh,
do
wait.
you have an answer for that?
Question.
So at the very beginning of what board members need to know, like that section, on number 8, number of employees in the district, and there's just stars next to the certificated classified.
It's a bullet point. It's a bullet point on the online. I mean, it's a shape of a bullet point.
Oh, I see.
I don't think,
Oh, cause then it probably connects to those 2 comments right
oh, I see.
there. Okay, and then these were, I don't think we messed with the community partners. That might be something that needs to be adjusted at some point, but.
We did, didn't you update that, Jesus?
Which
The
one?
community partner.
It looks
Yes, we did.
But I'm saying we, the 3 of us, did
Okay.
not like
but
have a conversation.
We did.
Yeah, because I did know, like, the name of Pacific Clinics used to be Chuck.
Right.
Okay. And then the
Oh,
org
on
chart.
on page 34, at the bottom, we've started moving consent to the beginning.
Yeah.
So normally we would do, or is that it? Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, that is at the beginning. It's after public comments.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. I was like, open session, I was thinking of like it's open session, right, versus closed session. But we don't usually do closed session in the beginning. We usually do it at the end.
I think it totally depends on
that's
what the topic
Okay.
A couple of years ago, when we started having actually, when we had the 6 o'clock start, the idea was, at least in my head, was that every other meeting,
That was
we
closed
do a
session.
closed session 1, and we do a study session next. We've been doing a lot of study sessions.
Mm.
There's a part of me that's, I think that there's something lost by us not having closed session to talk about superintendent's goals. Cause then we can,
you're going to need that this next you're coming through
Yeah.
to, once again, it's the art of managing the.
Yeah, and we're gonna be definitely having more because of negotiations.
Yeah.
Page 40, that org chart is not legible. Like, we talked about just making that names or something, even if it was an org chart, like it's a screenshot, right?
Yeah.
It is hard to
That's the
read.
website today.
So maybe, because most people are gonna get this digitally, so maybe we can just link to the website to get the bigger one.
Or can you just do like one page at a time and make it sideways? Like, and make it
There
not,
you go,
you
yeah.
know,
So one per page is what you would like.
maybe,
Yeah.
because it, I mean,
Then it's bigger and you can read the names, yeah.
Did you get that, Jesus?
And so the benefit of good eyes, I'm like, I can see the sign.
I have my glasses, so I'm supposed
Just make it bigger.
everybody.
Okay, and then the historical goals, that's just past stuff. It was kind of fun. I don't read it every time, but I was kind of reading through some of them. This is just, sorry, I'm going off topic and I know it's late. Well, not off topic, but like, not relevant tangent, or not, anyway. I'm gonna take more time explaining my tangent than just sharing my goal.
it's okay. It's okay.
It's a tangent to your tangent.
Don't worry.
I thought it was really right? It's interesting how like things take time, right? So I can't remember exactly what years, I don't wanna go find it, but I think it was maybe like 2006, 2008, or around that time. There was conversations about connecting with Fremont High School. One of them was like more mild, but one of them was like way more in depth and was like talking about like policy. I think you're on the policy one, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it has this whole like, so on page 43, under board goals 2008, it's the second bullet. We don't have to read, but just a whole long thing. Anyways, it just was like, see, the board has been trying to do this for a long time and we're finally like getting it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just, I'm glad that that's there because it is, I think, a good historical thing to sometimes look back and see stuff. Anyway, that was my fun anecdotal tangent.
Recruit candidates for November 2005.
And then at the very end, after that, then there's just the governance calendar, and it's small, but I think we also get it elsewhere, so I think that's probably okay.
And the one
And then the governance clock.
the one thing that I wanted to suggest that you do in here is to add another bullet for the strategic plan.
Oh yeah, and I made note about that.
Yeah, because, on the.
No, not a bullet, just under the governance calendar, we want to make sure strategic plan
So you know.
is in there, like when we're checking in on it, when we're like looking at that
Oh.
stuff. It just needs to be a part of our calendar. But when we, the three of us talked, I made a note on that page of things to like,
If that makes.
Hey, Sus, that could be a separate, like, row, and then we could, so strategic plan, check-in, and then it could be, you know, the October, February, May.
Yeah. but also if we don't get that added in until spring or whatever. Okay,
No, that's okay.
alright,
And, yes, so this is the other one that
CSBA thing was
is
helpful.
Good job.
And that was out, Nancy here to always remind us, we have it here to remind ourselves, so we have to remind ourselves of the calendar. Okay, I think that's everything for that.
Thank
job,
you.
guys.
Thank you for doing that.
Okay, so with that, let me see, should we, okay, with your discussion, we discussed every little thing. We should be able to move to item 4B, if everybody's okay with that. And 4B is the review and discuss board organization for next year.
Wait, before you do that, so we're taking that on consent? It's gonna go to consent?
Yes. We're taking that on
Thank you for
consent.
providing the clarity, good job.
Yeah.
Let's just, we can do that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those changes and then it'll go on consent.
Yes. It's gonna go.
Read it again.
Now, review and discuss organization. So let's see,
I
the
can-
Sunnyvale School District require governing board to hold an annual organization meeting, which this is what it is. So.
Actually, this is not the annual organization.
No, it isn't.
This is a discussion
Review and
about it.
discuss that.
Because you can't have the organizational meeting until after the 12th.
So it's
Yeah.
13.
So, are we gonna discuss this?
I guess so.
That's what it is in the agenda.
So usually you decide on the officers first.
Yeah, so we're not voting on it tonight, it's the discussion of what we think we wanna do. So then at the meeting in December, we don't have to have a long discussion, it's mostly just to like, someone makes a motion and we vote on it.
So, alright,
Proposed,
Slate, yeah.
yeah,
it's not consent, you have to actually take.
how many things are we gonna have on the 13th other than our oath on that agenda?
Do we have anything else on the 13th?
Just this,
So organizational.
Because we have a 2-hour meeting that day.
what
Say
2 hour,
10
what 2 hour
to 12.
meeting?
But it's organization and then lunch.
What 2 hour meeting?
On the 13th.
The 13th Friday
Did you go
from 10
Bridget said,
a.m.
Bridget
to
just gave you
12.
the answer.
You say that the 12th includes the lunch?
No, 13th includes lunch.
Yeah, but 13, it says 10 to 12.
Cause it'll be a short meeting and then the like
Go to early
celebration
lunch.
lunch.
Okay,
Before
Could be a
kids get out of
5-minute
school.
meeting.
okay,
No, it won't because we have to,
10-minute meeting.
okay, it's just a 10-minute meeting,
short
okay,
meeting,
I mean, it's a tentative
very
meeting.
short.
okay.
Well, first of all,
Mhm.
you guys changed it to noon, not 10. We originally had it 10, but you guys changed it to noon.
No, it was at noon, I thought I got changed.
It's on my agenda, I invited
Yeah.
the person who's gonna give me the oath.
She changed
at
It was
12.
at noon and we
You did
changed it to 10 because of Peggy.
Yes, and it's on the calendar.
So children getting out of school early.
I was not saying that in a negative way, you got my tone right? Because of Peggy.
Because of her early.
And the guests, if we have guests, they should be here at 10, at 11?
No,
Okay, at 10.
All right,
Okay.
board president.
Okay, so board president, start with comments. Well, I would like to propose Bridget for next board president. I wouldn't like to be president next year, of course. I'll wait a few years to do it again.
Yeah,
I
and
do
I
that
think, cause I
because
think,
either
right, 'cause
you
I
or
think,
me,
yeah, I
if we
mean, I
don't
think
want-
generally we like moving, I mean, we can't always, and like, it's getting thrown off because
I keep going.
this little stinker.
This little
It's complicated, yeah.
She's a thinker.
She's that thinker who's a stinker.
Yeah, she couldn't be, and then she was, I mean, 3 years. She was clerk,
yeah,
and
so I
then she
think,
couldn't, and then she was clerk again, but then she was pregnant, and then she had a baby, and now she's leaving us, so it's
Yeah,
like.
so I think generally we like moving in the line, but we can't always, so I
Yeah.
think, I think everyone's in agreement that Bridget is president.
Thank
Yeah.
you. If we did that, I would like to put Peggy behind me and put you on the other side of Peggy. I mean, that's what I would think, because then if, like, for some reason I wasn't in the meeting, then you would be in the meeting, like the clerk goes, right? And then the following year, like if there is a progression, then she has someone on either side of her. I mean, that's what, I know it's a little outrageous because she's brand new, but like, I think, I think we're all functioning adults, and I think, everyone's capable. It isn't rocket science, but we are going into a really hard time. So I think building that leadership early, and that's not to say she would have to be president the next year, if she felt like she wasn't ready, or we wanted to do something else, but like, I think that would be ideal because we have an unknown coming behind. And part of me still was like really planning on in 2 years not running so that I would have time for my parents, who are getting older and my mom is not getting older, she's maturing into a lovely
Maturity.
active life. But I feel like that responsibility, but then again, like with the new federal administration, I'm not completely taking it off the table that I would go again. So, but either way, it's like trying to build that capacity because we have Isabel and we have you and,
Yeah,
you've done it 2 years.
Like, we both are seriously considering going out in 2 years, and so the leadership capacity is something I'm totally concerned about.
And it depends on what happens with the federal government, I think, like.
Well, you did it.
Yeah, so, but anyway, like that was just my thought for like how to, because I think when you were, your first year, you were vice president or you were vice president with Reed?
It was
Your
like my
second year?
second year, right? So
So-
I was vice president twice, so like it
Mhm.
wasn't quite a full year because that, right? But I was basically a full year. and then I was vice president twice under two different people,
Yeah,
and then I became president.
cause I
So
think
I still
that,
wasn't president until almost my fourth year, I mean, it's like third official year, full years, right, but.
yeah, cause I think that like getting, I think it's a big, you know, it's just a learning curve in that way to be in the meetings and just like, let's try to train her as quickly as we possibly can. That's what I would like to do, but I know there's other ways of doing it and.
I think Peggy can do it, Peggy's very involved, I think other than the actual administrative work of like being vice president, being on the board, she's basically here and doing, she's met all the people, she knows all the stuff, I think she can do it, okay, cool. Do you want me to clear?
Well, so these are my like couple of, cause I've been trying to think through, and that was one of the things I thought about too, was, so I just have lots of different things thinking through. So I think my two hesitations, so it's not, no, I think that could actually potentially be the best thing. So I think one, if we do that, I don't feel comfortable with her being president, no offense, Peggy, but I just think like you need more years. So if we did that, it would be essentially she's vice president under you, she's vice president under me, and then she's had experience with two different people, and then so if everyone gave the commitment of like, that's the plan, if Peggy feels good about that too, I'd feel way better about it. And then my other like slight hesitation with it, I guess there's two potential so not like deal breakers by any means, right? Just two slight hesitations. One would be if you are gone, jumping into conducting meetings when you're a new board member, like is a pretty overwhelming thing. But we probably could just make the decision, like, I don't know if there's rules we have to follow, but could we just bump? And even though she's technically the vice president, if you don't come, if you get sick, and in February, I just would then run the meeting.
So, I think the wording was changed, but previously it was the president could delegate anyone to run the meeting. So that means.
Yeah, so that would just be like a
That's what
potential,
So-
and that's more like, it's just a tricky space, right? But I think, I don't, yeah, that probably doesn't really matter. And then the other thing, but again, I think it's probably fine if Peggy wants to be vice president. I think after I chat, maybe she can share her thoughts. Would be the space of, like kind of when Mike was saying what his idea was, right? Of like, oh, like the two board members will meet with me regularly because they're gonna be likely to have similar questions, right? So just like, cause I kind of thought about it, but not a whole lot because of my reservations, right? So as you said it just now, I was like, okay, like, cause I see tons of good, right, of that building leadership, absolutely. So I'm like, so which one, right, is actually more helpful? Like building that, which I think it might actually be that space of building leadership. But then there is that space that like, that would have been a good mix, right? A good mix of the two new people.
Well, we don't know who the other person is. I mean, honestly, like,
But whoever the new person
I
is, they're
understand, I
gonna know
love the
less.
idea in a perfect world.
Yeah. Should we
But-
like chat and then send it
Yeah,
back to you?
sure. I don't need.
Yeah.
Everybody else can see stuff.
Yeah.
Peggy.
Sounds good. I'm ready.
You know, and
I can do that.
personally think we're gonna be there, like she cannot run, and you need to have quorum, we're gonna be there, but she's gonna have the master in governance, and you know, master in governance it's not actually a master, they just put that name to it, but it's not like a master degree anyway, it's like, you know, people learn, and this thing is not rocket science, you don't need 2-year degree to do the thing, like, well, I'm kidding, she can do it, and she's been here, she's been listening to board meetings for a long time. And we're gonna be there, if there is like, hey, you forgot to vote or something, what is the worst that can happen? Hey, let's go back and vote now?
And let's not tempt fate, right? Like, we don't wanna do that, like, I'm okay with that.
So I will say the role of and Nancy might be able to articulate this better than me. The role of the vice president in part is to keep the meeting on time, to keep the meeting moving, to help. One of the things that we haven't, and I'm not picking on anyone, but we haven't done well, like I said before, is when there's discussion, bring the discussion together to a point. And so the president and vice president do that together. So I don't know.
Yeah, so essentially, you're the one who makes the motion to move, to do whatever it is that is supposed to be being done. Just to move things along, in those particular regards, and, together just having that discussion about what's the point of the exercise? So if we're supposed to be approving, make sure that we've done, we've given direction in how we're going to be doing that. It was in a previous thing, but I don't see in the board president duties that they can assign.
But I don't think there's technically any official rules, like if we make the choice, like if in February there's gonna be a meeting, she's only done 1 or 2 meetings and Bridget is sick, I don't think there's any rules that say
The clerk, yeah.
the clerk, yeah, the vice president has to run the meeting. So yeah, that's what I'm saying, that I think my concerns are not like any of them are deal breakers, I think it's all fine. And I think this space of the vice president, right, essentially like,
It's a quick.
I'm also then like, right, I'm sitting right next to like Peggy, right? So maybe I might interject and like Peggy might not catch when like if Bridget happens to forget a motion, which we do that a little bit anyways, right? Someone farther down might make comments. So I think, I'm glad that you brought that up, Mike, because that is like a thing that we've kind of stopped doing.
Yeah.
But like, I think that's a space that I think Peggy is, she's nodding her head, like, she will be okay if I jump in a bit sometimes to help her in her vice president role.
So the only thing that I would say is that right now it clearly says that it's the vice president that serves running the meetings, and we may want, that we need to correct that to make it gracious enough.
Meetings serve in the absence of the president and vice president. Clerk.
Yeah, I think.
So it could just be
So we could just
or.
make a slight change.
Instead of and, it could be or.
Yeah, so make it
Why don't
vice
we just-
president or
You
clerk.
guys have to think in terms of somewhere down the line, when people are, maybe the team is less cooperative.
Yes.
Like, this is like really clear in case, like, what if you had another member who,
Like if the president,
Yeah.
like if maybe you have a 2-3, so say you have a 2-3 board, and only the president and the clerk like each other, right? And
Or
like,
something.
they don't like the vice president, that's kind of what you're getting at, something like
yeah,
that,
or
but
you
then
say
you're
the
like,
president,
then you're
the president can
overriding.
pick the person who is liked the least.
They
to
give
be
them the bad rotary mashed potatoes
something like that. So you just have to be thoughtful about this.
Tuesday.
But we also could just change it for the year and then change it back.
That's true.
So that would be so I think that would be my recommendation, if we're gonna go the route of having her be vice president this year, we make that change in the governance handbook that it's both, and then I think Mike's point of like future potential issues, we put it back to bring the clarity.
So the time you were 6 in the last full year in here, you did it online.
Yeah, but we have.
We concluded,
She's
we all
never gonna
concluded,
get
we all concluded that that was
I'm
not-
really concerned.
She never gets sick.
And the chance that we're missing a meeting is not likely, but right, you just gotta think through scenarios, right?
I'm also gonna say that parents of young children bring meetings to a close and bring things to a point pretty well, because they have to get home. So moving on.
That was good.
Okay, so we decide those two, so.
So I'm
Yeah.
okay with the idea that Peggy would not assume being president.
Yeah,
or-
that'd be 2 years of
Right,
vice
she'd
president,
probably
so
have
learn
2
the
years
role.
of vice president.
Yeah, and that sounds good to you, yeah,
With
great,
a
yeah.
seasoned board member.
yeah, which I think is great, cause yeah, we each do it a little differently, so then she gets learned from you, and then she gets learned
And
from
then we
me.
can have this discussion again next year, see how it goes. But yeah,
Yeah.
probably that's what's gonna happen.
I'll come and mess up your thing again.
And then I think my hope would be right, because then you, so you essentially would then hop in behind her, so then the year that she's president, you're vice president.
You forgot about the new person.
We'll see when it comes, yeah.
But I'm saying ideally, you'd have the like, Isabel would go in, and then the new
That's right.
person, if the new person wants to be a president, they would go in behind Isabel.
Right.
Or maybe you,
Well,
you might think that they
Let's
should be
just
vice
do
president.
let's just do the first, so for next year.
Let's do 1 year.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Yes.
It's a one
well,
at a
you're
time.
supposed to do this every year, and you haven't been diligent about doing this every year, so.
Which one in particular, which place?
Okay, so we have president,
We're
vice
back on that.
president, and board clerk, is that correct?
In here.
Okay, so
Yes.
now we're on to representative to the Santa Clara County School Boards Association.
I think
I
so
can't
far,
do it.
both of us are very, yeah.
I can't do it because of Wednesdays, because I teach Wednesdays. So that's just going to the monthly Wednesday meeting. We're both involved, but anyone can do it.
I'm in at least two of, I'm chair of at least 2 committees, so I can I can do it because I'm gonna be there either for legislation.
And everyone can go.
LAC.
Yeah, everyone can go to the
anyone
meeting,
can
but just the
either for
voting member.
LAC or for
Two things.
Hoffman.
Yeah,
we gotta do budget. But it's helpful to have someone else as your alternate. Because then our vote can be recorded.
Do you wanna come Wednesday evening for that?
Or just be the
I'm
alternate?
fine being the alternate if Peggy
Yeah.
wants to be the alternate, but also like,
Okay.
I'm totally fine being the alternate.
Because Bridget is working Wednesday nights.
Yeah, I think it'd be good, I think one of the committees that I found helpful when I first started was being on the bond committee, I thought that was a helpful
I
committee.
think that would be a great one.
And then the other one that was really good, when I first came on the board was the health and wellness
She can do
committee
well, yeah.
So
for different reasons.
So
I know we're getting competitive,
for
but
those of us keeping score, it's gonna be really helpful to go in order.
But I just wanna put that out there because if they're saying like, let's think about Peggy for that, like Peggy has limited time, so I'm just
Yeah.
trying to say like, for new board members, and we could also redistribute once we get another new board member, right?
So did we say Isabel is the rep?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay,
And Michelle is
I'm
the
the
alternate.
perfect.
Representative Santa
But
Clara
I think,
County.
I know it's not going in order, but we're gonna jump down to.
Is this the one that Jeff used to do because there was nothing
Yeah.
else to do?
Michelle does
There's
it.
nothing that you, there's literally like,
Yeah, how
fill
often
out
does that happen?
the
Like-
form of this
like
one.
every
thing.
2 years.
I don't really remember.
Okay,
You
so
wanna keep doing it for now, for this, until we
I
get a
can
new
do
person?
this year, but we probably want someone else next year who can learn.
Is
Right,
this
and
the
at
one
least
that
kind of
was
what
people
to
wrote
know.
about
So
the
we're
not
redistricting
confused by it,
things?
cause everyone was confused by it, like it took me some digging and I still, I have to go back and look at my notes to like.
Michelle, is the one
so
that,
that's Michelle.
is the one that you vote about the redistricting people who is chosen?
So I'm not on the committee that makes those choices,
But you vote
but
for
we
them.
are we vote.
Yeah.
And then I like fill out the paper and turn it in or something like that.
Yeah, because I keep getting the people who is going for this year, they keep telling me if I already fill up that paper, like, I haven't seen that paper, like, oh, who did you vote for? You know, it's Jody and Elizabeth this time,
So,
and
so
like,
now
I
we're on
never
to
go back.
wellness.
Yeah, I don't know if I've gotten a form this year or not.
You don't go to form.
Okay, so I would like to know if, so for that paper thing you're gonna do for one more year.
Yeah.
But I would like to know, Peggy, are you more interested in wellness or are you more interested in like the bond stuff, which is like the bond committee, it meets one Friday a quarter, right?
Yeah.
And the wellness, that meets like midday at different sites, like right now it's a midday on a
Lunchtime.
Friday, 11 to 1 or something like that.
and then the other one is like a one Tuesday a quarter, or one,
One Tuesday a quarter,
oh,
but
one-
it's in the middle of the afternoon,
it's
Yeah,
like
in the
3 to
afternoon,
5,
3 to
3 to
5.
4:30
Yeah.
or something.
after school. You can bring the kids because they dance and do things like that. Walk
The
around.
one-
It's in here.
On Friday, the Friday
It's
Well,
the bond committee,
to
so it's,
one. That's, I have a 12:30 pickup for Kinder, so,
okay, so that won't work.
Yeah,
yeah, it sounds very interesting.
Okay, then do the wellness one
Sure.
on Tuesday.
But I have a staff meeting that day, so I cannot do that.
On Tuesday, then yes.
Should
So
you,
who would be the
okay,
alternate?
Peggy would be the wellness.
Who wants to be the alternate?
Who wants to be the alternate for that one?
My afternoons are my mom and kids, so that doesn't.
Well, I can try on a face-to-face,
Oh, yeah, alternate, so
Yeah.
should be fine.
I can give it a try, yeah.
Well,
And then
As
we're,
an
once we get another board member, we're gonna,
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
gonna be Ken with another board member.
Ask.
so tell us about your Tuesday
Let's not say
afternoon.
don't.
probably whenever you're.
Yeah.
Okay, bond oversight.
Okay,
Bond,
so upon oversight, I like it, I wanna keep doing it if I can, but.
Cool.
No, but, you wanna keep doing it if.
I'm
she cannot-
available, Peggy's not available, but if you're interested.
I would say I do like it, so this is my thought, is I'll do it, and then when the new person comes, hopefully they wanna do it, so I might only go to one meeting or something.
Just for
And then
bond.
we'll hand it over to them. Does that work?
Okay. These
Yeah, so
three-
bond is me, but probably only for a short amount of time.
Okay, I wanna do DLAG, this year there was a miscommunication and I never got the date. And I keep asking them to do
When
it,
is,
so.
or is it a Monday evening? Is it Monday, was it Monday, cause we met on
It's a
Tuesday.
evening. It's a Tuesday evening, I think.
Okay, I can.
Alright, so
do
how do
it.
we figure that out so Isabel gets those emails?
So there's, we need to do better, but also I would say, because it's not just this meeting, it's not just Isabel. Whoever the person is, there's a little bit of responsibility to reach out to us and say like, hey, I'm on DLAC and I haven't heard.
Yeah, but I keep asking, but not always happening, but it's like, Elizabeth, I forgot her name, Chaboya, she's the one reaching out to us and she's very effective for the bond and asking for the lunch.
We just need to get you on the list.
We just like, yeah, and then it happened the first 3 years and then somehow last year stopped happening for the DLAC and I've been since I entered from the
New
DLAC.
admin
Yeah,
assistant, so you just need to remind us.
yeah, to remind them.
We need to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I could be your second on ELAC. So if I could just get the invites and then we could work out.
Yeah, who goes to which one
You
or
have to
which
pay
one.
for
Coloring
That's-
Coloring game lovers, what are they doing to us?
Okay, challenge team, I like this one,
Oh yeah, I love challenge team,
although, yeah,
but anyone can go, so.
Yeah.
yeah.
But liaison essentially just means you then give a short little report out, like in the public, or in our, not public, but in our like board comments, right?
Yeah.
That's essentially, so I guess Peggy, this is helpful for you, right? So like when you are a liaison to one of those.
Yeah.
Like you just, not a long, but it's just a short like, hey, like we have this meeting, like.
You can send an email too. You don't
Yeah.
have to.
And I think what we said on challenge team, maybe it was last year, was like, yeah, anyone can go, but then if we say that, maybe there's a meeting where no
Nobody
one
goes.
goes. So the person
No,
who's
you have to
there
have somebody.
is
yeah.
responsible, if they can't go, we make sure we say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
liaison, yeah, either go, they can.
Yeah, so that-
Anyone
that's
else can go if
important.
they want to or not.
Yeah,
This
so
was-
I can come back to that one, I was going for the first 3
It
years.
used to be early in the morning, but now it's 8:30.
Yeah.
Or like third or fourth Thursday.
So it's 8 to 10 or something, 2 hours.
So who wants to be challenged?
My question.
I can be challenged.
Go ahead.
My question is for the Ed Foundation. Since you're
She's not
still on it, right? The Ed Foundation has to approve, so your term is 2 years, you wanna continue on the
One more
Ed
year.
Foundation?
I can do it, it just got difficult this fall, so I asked Eileen to cover for me. But I think I can start again
Okay.
in December.
But then there's also, Peggy's already doing it, do we need 2 people?
I think this was the same
It's
discussion we
different.
had when I
Yeah,
was
I
vice
think it's
president,
fine.
and it's.
Well,
She's gonna finish her thing. I think it's a different appointment, like it's an appointment from them as well.
okay, I guess,
It's a little odd.
well, what I would say is that part of our role is to empower more leadership. If there's an opportunity to have her as a board member be on that, and if that's something that you want to continue through this next year, but if you want to, if you're ready to step out in a way, that's another issue. So what is your,
On SES?
She's a
I'd
vice
like
president,
to, and I'd like to continue this year.
okay,
And I
she's the vice president of that
But
one.
being the vice president of SEF is a different role than being the liaison to the
Right.
board.
Right,
Yeah.
that's
So
what we're saying.
we could have, I don't know why SEF would object to this. And we don't have to do it this way. We could have our own liaison to the board that goes to the meetings that's not on the SEF board.
Yeah.
Those are open
Yeah.
meetings.
Mhm.
Right,
Yeah, that's
in
true,
theory.
that's true.
Cause it's two different roles, like if you,
Oh,
If
our
you're-
liaison to the board shouldn't actually necessarily be on that
Actually,
board.
probably
I
shouldn't
agree
be
with
on the
that.
board.
I didn't realize they are they?
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and the issue is,
Oh, that is not,
And they
yeah,
are not-
that's super,
Cause you have a little bit of a potential conflict of interest there.
yeah.
Well, we're
I
not
don't
on the
think I recognize that.
executive board, but
No.
we're on their board, so we get the notifications of the board. But they do, like, they have a different executive board.
and the only
It's the
committee
same.
runs governance and parties.
Take that out with
I
second.
I know,
That's just something, we don't have to solve that.
Yeah, but that is something
It
that
should be separate.
be a little bit more separate,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's never about that.
Okay, so, and I think those are
And then
all
the last
Sunny
one-
liaison
So
today.
Is it Sunnyvale City Council and?
When I thought that was my
not-
question
Yeah.
too, I'm like, is this referring to what you did, it was
I thought it
different
was
than
just,
this?
I thought it was just neighborhood association.
it's just
Yeah,
neighborhood
yeah.
association.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So who wants that? Sorry, this is
The
fun.
very
It's
last
like-
one, so
I
you
think
wanna
that's-
take off Sunnyvale City Council?
Oh,
I
Sue's
don't know.
SCF is Isa.
Was the neighborhood associations on a Monday night then? I think it's on a Monday night.
Is it?
I
So
can
you
do it.
can't do.
Yeah, and
I can't do it on
when
Monday
where are those?
It's online.
In line?
Yeah.
I suppose I could give it
Hey,
a
do you
try,
want it,
yeah.
or should Lisa take it?
Or Michelle.
I could give it
That
a
would be
try.
5 things,
Huh?
6
Oh,
things
Michelle, you
for
wanna take
Isabel.
it?
It's too much. It's too much just
You have
now.
too many. Do you want it, or Michelle?
Or we give it to the new person.
Or give it
Yeah,
to
but we
Lisa?
can't like just leave it uncovered, but I mean,
Well, yeah, the new
I
person's
can
probably
do it.
gonna start in March.
What time are the?
it's Reed's meeting. It's like at 7 PM for
I think
an
you just
hour.
nominated, just volunteer.
One-
This is fun, I'm just volunteering people.
No, it's only
Thank you, too.
quarterly.
Yeah.
It's only 4 times a year.
Yeah,
Well,
she
yeah,
can do it then.
quarterly.
And the new person's gonna start in March probably, because we don't know officially.
We have no idea if anyone's really resigning.
Yeah,
We're
we
not
we
informed.
officially don't know if that's gonna happen, so we are not gonna start
Yeah,
until
we're convincing her to stay. Technically, it might not happen.
mid-January, when we receive a formal letter, we are not starting to count those 60 days, so we don't really know for sure.
I brought up the best
So
job.
who's doing the neighborhood?
Peggy's doing the
Peggy.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay,
With
Okay,
the,
so
and
let's
like,
just
but with
do
the,
a
like,
quick
we might
count.
switch it to the new person if they want it, right?
Let's just
Yeah.
do, can we just review who has what, so.
Yep.
Jesus, you wanna go over it?
From the top,
Yeah.
President, Bridget, VP Michelle, clerk.
No.
Peggy.
No, VP is Peggy.
Oh, I don't- That's Tony, no, okay. Clerk,
Okay,
Michelle.
and I think those are all the
Is
committees.
it
okay,
gonna
keep
be-
going, the committees.
so County Board Association, Isabel, alternate Michelle. County Council, Michelle, or County Committee.
Yeah.
Wellness, Peggy, alternate Isabel. Bond, Michelle. GLAC.
They bond
No.
Isabel and Michelle.
Isabel and Michelle.
Is
Is that order?
Yes.
But
There's
they're
two.
both
Equal.
liaisons.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
There's no voting thing.
Yeah, there's,
Okay, DLAC.
So GLAC, Isabel, Bridget.
yeah,
Alternate, I'm the alternate, like helper.
Challenge, Isabel. SEF, Isabel. Neighborhood, Peggy.
And I'll be an alternate for a challenge. I'm planning to go anyway.
Cool. Good job, team.
Good.
Coast to coast?
okay, so now review and discuss coast to coast. So this is like, we don't know where the world is gonna be in 3 months.
Yeah, what's the president's welcome
The world's
reception?
still gonna
Which
be
president
here.
is that?
Oh my god, I'm
Well,
trying to
humans are gonna be on Earth in 3 months.
Hopefully we are.
Not really, but just if I hypothetically. I was so excited that we were gonna run into Kamala Harris. I mean, it didn't because she had COVID. Otherwise, I'm sure we would have met her and like been best friends by now. I don't wanna bump into
She
any
may
of the
be coming
Trumpies.
back, so you don't know where she's gonna.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
who
so
wants to go to coast to coast?
I wanna go. I didn't go, I've only gone once and I would like to go.
I wouldn't mind going again, but you know, I already went twice, so.
Have you gone twice?
I've gone twice, yeah.
So Bridget for sure.
So you could put in a place saver because the new person, I don't know when you're onboarding, but.
Yeah, I don't think
And we
every
don't,
person should
and
go.
we don't know who that new person is.
Well, we don't wanna pay the fees until we know.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't be the new person.
Well, I don't think it would be the news person or Peg. I think Isabel might have, I mean, Isabel's on the CLSBA board and she's on Ledge Action.
And you've just gone 2 times as well, right?
And she just got reelected.
You've just gone 2 times.
Yeah.
Yes, but I would like to go because, the other boards that I represent with this, with the school, but also, I think we talked the last few years that we could now take 3 people and still not be a
2
brown
board
man.
members and a superintendent. You only send 2 board members.
That's what they allow you initially, but
But
then
now they allow 3 people.
3.
So
We wanted to
So
all
worst
go.
case
I don't
scenario,
know.
we
Yeah, so
could-
I think you 2 this next year is great, and then maybe the year after that, it's gonna be more than the new.
So here's the
Yeah.
one thing that I do wanna caution, you all need to think about your board budget for travel and additional expenses. Because you're in a down cycle and it's going to,
It is true.
it may, I know people want to go, but it may seem indulgent.
I don't really
Or-
wanna go talk to a bunch of Trump administration people, do I feel obligated to go?
That's
And it's
fine.
an advocacy.
But I think that's a helpful, like, this
I
is
completely
probably good, this
understand.
is probably good, but like next year, if budget things look tighter, this might be a thing that we forego.
So
Well, it might be a thing that we
might-
definitely go on.
what we might do is add up like what the cost of going to everything is, right? So
Biggest issue.
I mean,
Yeah.
as board members, you need to go to things, you need to go to CSBA, you need to go, they all cost money.
Yeah, and advocating is part of our
Yeah.
role and,
Yeah.
but being mindful of how much you're spending is a good reminder.
Yeah. And sometimes people sign up for things and emergencies happen and they can't go and like, oh, we spent money in that. For nothing.
Yeah,
You have to be aware of that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, if we're paying for it, we should show up, definitely.
yeah, so I think Nancy's idea is probably a good one, I don't know if we can pull that together pretty easily with the expenses are.
Well, in the old days, the board
Oh,
budget,
okay.
yeah, the board budget is pretty clear and, to be truthful, the first 2 years, was a down cycle when I was on the board, and the board only sent the new trustees.
To
Period.
AC.
To AC, period. So, and we have 2 delegates. And that's an additional expense as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah,
I'll take
It's a
it.
good point to take in consideration, but I think we're doing okay. We work almost for free on the board and we do, and this is going to work for, huh? I mean, that is, I don't
like
think
we
it's
do
an
a lot of work that we're
extra
not
person.
getting paid for.
We're not getting paid for a lot of work. We do a lot of
Yes.
advocacy and this is for advocacy. So I don't think it's like a horrible
So-
thing that we're doing if
So
we
no,
go
you're-
and advocate for
I think we're talking about
kids
different
somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's 2 different things, I mean, the fact that you guys are basically volunteers, and like maybe you would wanna increase the compensation at some point, that's one discussion. And I certainly wouldn't object to that. The other piece is, if you pay $2,500, let's just say to go to a conference, total cost, you have to make sure that there's $2,500 worth of value to it.
Correct.
Definitely,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's all we're saying.
Yes, that's true. So if we're gonna go to coast, it's probably not because we wish to see the federal government face to face and bump into them, but it's because we actually wanna go and fight for them not closing the Department of Education.
Someone pass the chalk.
Yeah, good lord, get that over.
okay, so I think we're good, so the two of you
Is
for
Mike,
CSA,
is Mike,
ready?
We
Mike,
wanna
are you
make,
going?
yeah.
Are you going this year?
I'm tentative, yes.
Cause you haven't gone yet, right?
Right.
So
One
It's
of the
just
years-
because it backs up to spring
one of the years
break
that
and I
we're
go
trying to go,
away and, you
But
know.
it is later now.
So I guess what I would say is, if we're sending 2 people, 1 board member and a superintendent, I think that's sufficient, from a budgetary perspective. So if
I
you.
just, I
I think we could
disagree.
say 2 people
We
and
could,
the
I think,
superintendent.
go ahead and sign up.
And if the superintendent doesn't go,
Because I,
3.
because, who you're gonna be advocating to are Democrats. You're not, unless they have something different for delegates, the delegates to do, like going to department folks, you're preaching to the.
Nancy, I think the rest of us, I think we heard your opinion and we have a different opinion.
Okay, so we can move the next one. They're moving on. Discuss board meeting calendar. We just saw these. Are we gonna
Oh, sorry, going back.
check this one? Okay,
Usually we have an alternate for the coast to coast. Do you want an alternate?
I don't think we usually have an alternate. That was just with Nancy, 'cause we didn't know if she
Oh,
wanted
I
to
see,
go.
okay. Cause I went as an
As
alternate.
my
my
first
year,
stop.
so it was- Just
okay,
these two, okay. That's cool.
okay. So then discuss board meeting calendar. We just approved one last week. Do we have, well, the school calendar, but it wasn't.
No, this is
Yeah, we
board
already saw this one, yeah.
Okay, so this is, I think I put this in the packet. And,
We
You
saw,
can definitely-
we seen this before, yeah.
yeah. Are there any questions about this plan for the board meetings? Taking into account the, new board member appointment?
Yeah.
And then there's questions about potential. And then there's questions about coast to coast too, if we wanted to. move
You know,
that.
we do have the governance meetings on February, which is great because that will just be like 2 meetings after our new board member.
No.
Now, in the case we
We're
do
not-
have to replace,
That's what they're saying, is that
We're not
gonna
doing
get
that, we don't have,
We're gonna
there's
wait.
no reason to do a 6-hour board governance with our other new board members. So that's what they're talking about, is we're no longer
Saying
doing
move
that in
to the
February,
spring.
and that will happen after we have a new person.
However, you know, I think it would be helpful to have an opportunity to discuss like board priorities for the year, like that's what we usually do at that meeting, right? That's not just governance, that's sort of like our.
Well, we don't always have this longer one, the longer one's only, but
Right.
yes, sometime in January, February, there is a discussion.
We
of-
have to have that.
But I think we don't necessarily, I'm gonna push back because we have the strategic plan.
But even with the strategic plan, we still have things that we wanna work on as a board, right? Don't we?
I think you're both right. I just think it's gonna be a little bit tight,
Yeah.
because like the board needs to select a new board member. And so like the idea here
That's what
is,
we have to do.
yeah, that's what we
That's
have
a priority.
And then in March, we could do the primaries, like during
Okay.
the news governance team development meeting.
Do we think that we could add in like a retreat for the, once the new board member is on?
That was.
That's kind of the March
That's
27th
what that
and
is,
28th.
okay. Okay,
And we could do it,
what do you think about the May 1st flying back and from coast to coast and, I mean, I'm okay with doing
I would
that.
say it's happened, I had to,
Right,
well, two things, one, I had to fly back for one of them to make the meeting, and the other one, I had my daughter with me, so I hadn't realized this board meeting, so I actually just missed the meeting and then didn't get paid, but,
mhm,
mhm.
so
yeah,
how
so
was
we've
it,
done-
how
we've
was it
done it.
flying back? Was it,
I was fine, because I flew back Wednesday, but I mean, I don't know, a little bit.
oh, but
nervous.
this would be flying, wait, is it flying back?
cause it goes
So
through,
you
it
fly
goes
back, because it
through
usually ends around 3 or 4, so like you can get like a 6 or 7 or,
and
lot
still get
flying.
back at a normal time.
Okay,
because 7 o'clock there is like 4, I mean, it was kind of late, I think I landed at SFO at like 10:30.
morning, yeah, I think, yeah.
No,
I
this was
think
the
that
evening, it was a Wednesday,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
cause like,
I think once I came on a Wednesday night very late, and then the next time I came on a Thursday at noon or something.
Yeah,
So
so I
I
think
made it work
I
like
guess
that.
it's the two of you, are you okay
Yeah.
making that tight?
It's okay.
Yeah, it's
And like you have to
okay.
be planning for the meeting or.
yeah, because I think I looked at flights and there was like an early morning, Thursday morning one that gets you back at 1 o'clock or
Yeah.
something.
That's a little scary in case any, but the morning flights are the ones that usually don't get delayed because you get to leave and from the
And
East
May
Coast.
is a pretty good time of year, so it's not, should be as much fun. Okay. All right, so that's the new calendar.
So, well, so I have a couple things, so one, can we go back? Okay, there we go. So one, my question is, and this is not directly, I guess, well, this is what's tricky, is D and E are kind of connected, right?
Yeah.
So maybe this is for board, I guess this is kind of board calendar.
We can talk.
They actually are,
Yeah, so like, I'm just kind of bringing
Yeah.
them together, but anyway, this is all to say, based on what our timeline is going to be, like, what, if we're gonna fill a vacancy, when are we opening it and when are we closing it? And the reason I'm asking that is because if we're gonna open it, like if we're making an approval on the 16th and then we're opening it on the 17th, I think February 6th is too late for candidate information. I think the candidate information, I guess it'll be like right away, but should be within the first like 10
Yeah.
ideally week or 10 days of it opening and giving people at least 2 more weeks before the application
Yeah.
is due.
To get their stuff together.
And especially because we have that winter break, right, that almost kind of counts but doesn't count. So anyway, so that's my concern is if we want to appoint the person, like if we wanna have the meeting on the 26th with the appointment on the 27th, which I think we do, I think we might want to have that information night a little bit earlier.
So you're talking about,
Earlier than
January.
February 6th, so January.
January. The timeline has it by days, but it doesn't have the calendar on it, so, cause I get it, it's,
Because there's business.
You could do a January
Give me your
30th.
pen. Get a better pen.
I have one.
Could you
But
want
this
her,
is make, so
Isabel, why
the,
don't you?
so day 21 is when the board approves the timeline.
February 27th. Oh, that's true, okay, that's 2025.
Why is it?
30?
So the other thing is that
That's another
I think
possibility.
it's help
No, but yes.
Oh, I wouldn't be here.
with, attend liaisons, even though I'm not on the board, if you're feeling really stretched and stressed.
Yeah, and it might be nice, even if, like, you could even just also be there just to like, cause I remember at least
Yes.
when they did it, one, we're gonna have probably less people, because when I did it, it was the entire district, and now this is just one area. So we probably won't have, but like at the information night, we were in the room that's next to the
McKinley.
superintendent's room, and it was totally full. I think there was like 15 or 20 of us who
Yeah,
came in
yeah.
that room for the information night,
Yeah,
right?
it should be in here, right?
Yeah.
Well, but I think it's gonna be a much smaller group because it's 1/5. I mean, I don't think you're gonna get 20 people. I would guess you're
Right.
probably gonna get hopefully 5 people, but I don't even think you're gonna get 5 people at the information night.
I know we're gonna get.
Well, we're gonna go also to the sites before that to tell the people what is the board, what, we're gonna be informing the
Aaliyah has
community.
that, we'll just do Aleah's presentation.
Okay.
Wait a minute,
What-
you should,
What is a board?
you should talk to the other board members about what you're planning to do.
No, I think, if we, for the presentation night here, I think we should,
That's also
I think we
attached.
should use Aaliyah's
Okay.
presentation that she kind of revamped.
The same one we used for the candidate,
It's different, cause she revamped it off of the.
but a
high
similar
school-
one.
Similar information, but different pictures and stuff, it looks more contemporary.
Okay, thank you.
And we should go to the neighborhood, when Peggy goes to the neighborhood on a Monday, maybe she should also bring that to the neighborhoods organization to open it to the public. And we should go to
But
the.
That's only
It's
quarterly,
Huh?
It's only
It's only quarterly.
Yeah, it's not.
they just had one, but I think,
But you could push it out through.
People at
So
large.
application is gonna open the day after we,
Yeah, I think so, cause
Okay.
it's 21.
so yeah, so I think that information night, cause if it opens on the 17th, that means it actually might even close.
So 2 weeks after January 17th.
It will be closed
January
before
31st.
February 6th.
Because.
Does it have to be
it's
2
after-
weeks?
I don't know. It says open for 2 weeks in this draft, I don't know how far that is.
I would say it would be open like the Monday after you take action to call for the.
Open
But that's
for
not
public, okay.
Yeah, this doesn't look.
I'm
Hey
sorry.
Suze, where does this, is this like something you got from somebody as a reference
So,
template or
That's,
like?
that's a good template to follow.
Yeah.
Doesn't be exact,
Yeah,
but it helps you organize the 60 days.
yeah, so where did the template come from is what I'm asking?
So between myself and 5 others through the state,
Yeah,
have that template that we created.
okay. So it was a template, like all the things that have to happen, here is a good guideline
Here's
of
good
the
guidelines.
timing.
So maybe this is by day 21 instead of.
Do you have more than
on
one
day
copy of this for us to share with
It's
them?
on letter E, the text. of
Oh,
letter E.
okay. So if you guys go to E, that's the paper that
Yeah, really.
we're looking at right now. But yeah, so I guess mine too is kind of jumping specifically to E, I think we wanna open for maybe more than 2 weeks, maybe have it open for 3 weeks. But then we for sure need to have the meeting before February 6th.
This February 6th is.
What do you think about going out to the schools beforehand and talking to people, like just at
There
a
is.
What is it
informal
general,
meeting?
like what do we do and,
The
So,
schools that
we
fall in that
exist.
trustee area.
yeah, we exist, what do we do, what is a board? Very general, and then on January, when we come back and say, hey, we need somebody to fill up this seat, if we come
Well, I
back.
think we could say,
Yeah.
we're looking at
I would
someone
almost wait
resigning.
till January to do that though, because the holiday stuff, right, if you just saying before Christmas.
Well, and she hasn't made it.
Yeah, but I mean, we can just start saying,
But we
like,
book
hey,
it
this
now.
is a thing that exists,
Book it
there is
now.
something called the board,
But I think planning could have those in January, I
and
think
this is
doing
how
those in
board
January.
delegation works, yeah.
What if instead of, I think if we book it now for January, then we don't have to say hypothetically what would happen, we can just say like, well, we could book it now for like the school sites
The
right
first weeks
around,
in January,
yeah,
okay.
before we even go
Because
into
I
the
am,
time.
I am making
What are you talking about
videos.
booking?
I am making videos with state officials for
Information like at the
CNSBA,
school sites.
and
that
they're
are
very
interested in
general.
it.
Yeah, like,
But what would it look like? Is it at the PT? I mean, I like the idea, but that is a good point what Mike's saying. What is, like, are we going to a PTA meeting?
Yeah, so
Are we just gonna, like, set up those
meetings
booths?
and all that, and telling people like,
But there's
hey,
probably not gonna be a PTA meeting in the window we wanna do this.
No, so what I was thinking was reaching out to, what I talked to Isabel about was like, well, you could reach out to the PTA presidents and ask them what would be a good time.
Yeah.
Like CMS is like, well, you could come to our Fiesta del Ugly Sweater, but we'll all be in party mode and we're not gonna pay attention. I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
December is not a good time to do it.
but I think if we said like, you know, like, they could have a special meeting or something like that, and if they planned it in advance, then they could advertise it.
Yeah.
I think if we
Yeah.
don't plan now for early
Oh, I
January,
agree, yeah.
yeah,
then it
it's not
won't
gonna
get
happen.
advertised, and I don't think it has to be a burden on the schools, I think it can just be
Yeah.
like, you know, on the
I can
principals.
imagine it's something similar to Coffee with the Principal, we are not gonna burden the principal, so they don't have to organize an extra thing.
Like
We're
board
just gonna
office
tell like, hey, PTA, you just can ask people to be there, like, do you think they're gonna prefer like after drop off or when pick up or after the
Okay, so
PTA
those-
meeting or
that's
something
the
like that?
outreach. I'm wondering, like, the official information night where everyone gets the
Yeah.
same information at the same time.
So,
The problem with the week before is I'm at the superintendent symposium, so you could theoretically do it without me, I don't know.
and
if
you're
that's
gone the
gonna be-
whole week?
The 20,
None of these have dates on it,
Cause I
so
was
what's the
thinking,
latest one?
what if we
Yeah.
do,
27th through 31st.
I was thinking like, what if we do it Monday 27th in the evening? The
yeah,
information
I
night.
heard that.
So that would be my recommendation. I was thinking that was, alright, I'm thinking about my schedule.
January 27th.
What I'm doing for CLSBA is something very general, because people don't know what is a board. So it's like very ABC, like public education, they have, you know, your school belongs to a district, because some people don't know the school belongs to a district. Your school belongs to a district, district have boards meet regularly, and this is what the board is supposed to be doing. So it's something ABC, very, very general. It's not even say like we're looking for anyone. So I am gonna have some 5-minute thing that is like that.
Okay, so we wanna have the information night on Monday, the 27th?
And you'll be back,
I won't have left
Before
yet.
he left.
yeah, okay. Okay,
I would really like, well, I would like to have that meeting, but generally, I would, if we're gonna do a subcommittee, I really want to be on the subcommittee, partially because I've been through the process.
On the other
I
side.
do, I do too.
So I don't know if we're gonna make a subcommittee, but that's what they did previous, I don't know if it was Reed and someone else, I don't know who did it.
There should be 2 people.
Were you doing Reed?
So Michelle and who else?
So are you guys okay if Bridget and I do it? Does that work for you, Isabel? Peggy, you okay with that? Okay, so
But I think,
Bridget-
the point would be is that we would just be doing some of the organizational stuff, it would still be a board effort. It would be like,
Well, yeah, I think
We
we'll
just
like,
like-
we'll talk and then at a meeting, we'll say, hey, this is like what we're thinking, or like, hey, it's buzzing, look at this, this is kind of, yeah.
come down.
And then, you're gonna need to have, when you actually plan for that, you're gonna need to have your time to develop your questions and those kinds of things before you.
So can we do the info night
But that was
on
something the
Tuesday?
subcommittee did and then it had the board
Right.
approve it, right? Yeah.
Right.
So that actually might be a good thing, the February 6th.
Otherwise, then another board member will have to go, which is fine.
So February, Mike, let me know when you're not.
We're
figure
just
out what
checking
we're
to
doing.
see if you
Yeah.
can do a Tuesday instead of a Monday.
So the 27th.
Oh, like the 28th. Oh, because Monday. Well, we're looking at the 28th.
Oh, I leave on Wednesday. So yeah, we do Tuesday.
So not ideal, but you can make it work.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's,
Well, but you're leaving the next day, that's always no.
that's not bad.
Okay, I'm only gonna throw out, it's probably fine. That night is the FHS guidance night for parents from 6 to 7.
That's
Well, so why don't you have it on a Monday and then someone else can go to it, but I can help.
Cause the
set it up.
committee stuff is gonna be way more than
Yeah.
just that meeting, yeah.
So as long as like Isabel or Peggy can go on the 27th, you guys can go on the 27th?
Were you wanting to say something, Mike?
Only for the.
No, I
meeting, but
think
then
it would
you can
be-
still organize.
I think Peggy's wonderful, it'd be hard for her to talk about what it's like to be on a board
Yeah.
before she's been on.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have been like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can talk.
It's like,
Well, we can decide that later.
well, I just wanna make sure they're available, because if I can't, if I'm not
But
available.
technically only one person there, we don't have to have two people there, right? But-
But I can go.
Okay, so 27th will be there.
Okay, so 27th is the information night. So February 6th.
What time? 6 o'clock. We should make it 6 o'clock, that's the time the meetings are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems good.
We can double check and.
Oh, that's a
well,
good idea, doing it up there. This is why we're all a team, people, all of our brains work together.
Lakewood's parking sucks. Because.
But you're not gonna have a bajillion people.
Maybe at CMS,
I think
CMS
Lakewood,
isn't in my area.
yeah, I think Lakewood is,
But
but your
Fairwood
kids go there.
is.
We can solve that.
but Lakewood or Fairwood, somewhere else.
Somewhere
Fairwood, yeah.
Okay,
Good
so
call.
the other thing for the 27th is we'll just double check the other high school issues, right? Like if anything's on the 27th for them, like
Nothing in
Homestead.
her
Oh,
district
yeah, nothing in
would
your
be, her district is off.
Okay.
So it would be if there's any other big events in our district Monday night.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't worry about that.
Okay.
Or is there something on the city calendar?
Okay, so 27th, so February 6th, we should keep that meeting, and that would be the night that we would essentially finalize the questions we're gonna use and talk about how the meeting on the 26th or whatever date is gonna happen, would be my suggestion.
So instead of 5 to 8, would it
We
be
can think
regular
about
6
that.
o'clock or?
I don't think you can. If it's an open meeting, you don't wanna be talking about the questions in an open meeting, so I think it has to be a
So what did you
subcommittee.
guys do? Did you guys talk about, or just the two of you on your own came up with it and they didn't know them ahead of time, the rest of the board?
We came up with the questions, and then right before we did the interview, we had the.
Oh, just day of is when you kind of went through them,
Yeah.
okay, so the board just trusted the two of you to come up with good questions.
Well, they could submit any questions that they,
Okay.
or general areas that they wanted to have covered.
Yeah.
In that. but
So
they-
yeah, send them to Annalee and Ben, and they're good at it, just send it to them. No,
Well-
send it to Jesus and me.
Mhm.
And then we'll,
And then
Get them to the
the,
committee.
yeah,
Well, it would be Bridget and,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
and I'm happy to,
Did you guys have any meetings as a whole group to prep at all, or not
thank
really?
you.
well, we had prep before we had the candidates.
But just that day?
Yeah,
Okay.
And they were in it, well, yeah, you were.
Yeah, so like, cause so
Right, so
technically I could have come and sat through everything, but we were
Right.
asked to go in there, and of course we all did it, but technically one of them, if they wanna be difficult, can come listen to everything,
Yeah.
and listen to other people's interviews, like technically they can do whatever they
That's right.
want, but the request is, you're in there, and we had like refreshments in there, and we chatted, and it was all great people who were, I think there was like 6 of us, and they were all great people, and we had great chats.
so yeah, so we had our preliminary meeting and deciding who was gonna have what, who was gonna be asked.
Yeah, so that just happened that day,
It happened that day, right beforehand.
So we can cancel a meeting,
Yeah.
February 6th, right?
There we go.
Unless there's like meeting, like approval things you guys need to have.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Wait, so
No.
No
Well,
meeting-
yes, because the 6th and 7th were not regular meetings. The February 6th and 7th were going to be the governance development meetings that we're pushing to the end of March.
I thought we were doing
No,
something
we-
else instead of that though.
No, you were doing something on the sixth
So-
too.
We're just doing a regular.
We were gonna do the information night, but now we're doing that on the
Yeah.
27th.
That's what that night was gonna be. So unless staff was like, they need to get agenda item things, we could probably cancel the 6th.
Yeah.
Because we're moving that governance
Because we're
meeting
adding,
to March.
instead of February 6th, it's January 27th, and
Right.
it's a
Yes,
information.
and then that old governance 2-day workshop thing is moving to March. So it's not that we're actually like having less things, we're just moving things around.
Okay.
You're moving the work differently.
Okay, and then I have one other calendar meeting thing, that I told Mike about a little while ago and said to bring up here. So when we were picking the June things, I reminded you, I didn't have my camp dates yet, but I have my camp dates. So June 18th, I will be gone. So I think board, like we can move it if you want me there. If you don't want me there, then I would like to request request a circumstances like, you know, like that I couldn't come, because I always watch the meetings when I do this and whatever, so I can still get paid. I would like to be at the meeting, right, but if no one wants to change it, if you guys are okay with,
Okay,
Yes,
I don't,
yeah,
yeah, I don't know
changed it.
right now.
That was it too.
well, no, because we didn't know my date yet,
Oh,
of when I was gonna be, so we didn't know when it was, and so it
What
was,
would you wanna change it to?
We had to move it for Juneteenth.
Yeah, so it's on the 18th
Oh, it is
now.
June.
but I'm just gone that whole week.
Oh, that's pretty hard.
So yeah, because remember we were talking previously, it was maybe that first week in June and the fourth week in June. So in our last meeting, that was the conversations, are we having our last meeting the
Yeah, I
third week of June or the fourth week of June? We settled, and I said my camp is either the third or fourth week, I don't know yet, and I'm just saying I know now.
Okay,
So we can keep it where it is, but I will not be able to, or we can change it.
Meeting on the 4th, can't have on the next meeting. Yeah, it would have to be the 18th
Or the 26th.
or like the 26th, which just seems like really late. People probably already have vacation plans. We could check.
So I'm not gonna be on board, but I'm okay, she doesn't.
yeah, it just means that no one else can, like, we need quorum.
Still getting there.
Like, we just need quorum, so I think we just have to, like, I think Peggy and Isabel and I just have to commit that we will not be going on vacation that day. Like, we will not be leaving early, even if we get really good tickets, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, can we commit to that, because
Yeah.
otherwise, like, we don't know who the new person is, and hopefully they're very, but we just need
I think
quorum.
we can, yeah, we
Do you need to have more than quorum? You might need to have all four when you're approving the budget. Right, because that's the day we approve the budget, that's the day we approve
I think you
people's
just need to have
contracts.
you just need to have a quorum.
Okay, I just know there are some things we vote on where you have to have
Yeah.
four.
Yeah.
That's property.
Okay, that's
so
all my calendar stuff.
Fremont High School has the retreat together, it's typing that. They have the retreat together with the management team in something called a Silomar.
Right, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, so it's more like a management retreat, they just go and
Right, that's.
work it out together, it's not only a board or government thing, you just make it work like that. I think.
So the next agenda item we basically covered.
Good job, Kim.
So just one slight thing, if we're making our governance meeting March 28th, just making note that that's currently the Cumberland Board office hours, so we'll need to change that into
Which day?
the
March
March 28th, which is now gonna be a governance training, like the 9 to 12. So we'll need to change the Cumberland Board office hour.
Okay, so with that, I think we can move to the next agenda item, which is review and action. And we have these two resolutions to send a special recognition to the two retiring members of the Fremont High School Union. That's Rob Sinks and Jeff Moe. So that will be 5A and 5B. If we can have a motion, we don't have public to make comments.
I move approval of the dual resolutions.
I'll
Okay,
second.
just a second, unless Peggy wants to make a comment
No, she
related
can't
to
yet.
this. She can, I mean, the
Oh,
she can
public
comment.
comment
Oh,
as
you
a
want
public,
Peggy.
yeah. Okay, do we wanna discuss it? I think it's.
Like, I'm just
Oh.
saying.
So,
Okay.
so what I would like to say is that there are some other members who are retiring that we might want to consider at least giving a card to, if not something formal. And that is, Ms. Bogle from Cupertino is retiring and, also has 60 years worth of education
I
experience.
know, I didn't know all of her education
Yeah.
background, when I saw that email, I was like,
Yeah.
wow, she said a lot of stuff.
I know.
She's pretty.
What district was she doing those things in?
Yeah, she's.
Oh,
pretty
you know.
much-
That was all in Cupertino.
I think
Yeah.
she
So
started.
when she retired, then she like went on the board.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think we did these two because they are our feeding
feeder.
one.
No,
That's Santa Clara.
No, I understand, but this was a point in time when we talked about celebrating.
Just something we could.
They're having a.
big
we got
party,
a big-
yeah.
Yeah.
well, It's a big party, but it's a party,
Yeah,
before their board meeting on the 19th. 19th.
Yeah, and Albert just had one last week.
Right, so we could either do something later or have a card that you can give at CSBA or we can do something at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Sure. Sounds reasonable. Yeah,
That would be a legal thing to do.
perfect.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
And then for Rod and Jeff, does someone want to go to their board meeting?
Yeah, I'm
I'll
going
bring that,
anyway
yeah.
for
You're going?
To bring the
SCCSBA,
resolutions.
so I mean, if we wanna go, if anyone wants to go with me, because I have to go for SCCSBA, so I'm happy.
Wednesday, when is that next week?
Oh, it's December, the December meeting.
It's December.
I
Unless
think,
you really need me, I don't really want to.
I mean, December's like right around the corner, right?
Yeah,
Such a full month.
the Tuesday after we come back from AC.
Yeah,
See
I
our
think-
meeting.
I think that is it.
So the 10th.
Whoops. Oh, I don't have it on this one.
December 3rd.
Is it December third?
It says, yeah, it says.
It's December third.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you can.
No,
go
wait,
with
it's
that.
December third? I won't be
And then they
there.
have one December 17th.
17th, I know that one.
But 17th would probably be the new people, not,
I can go.
Rod might not be there anymore.
Yeah, I can go on December.
I can do that.
You want to do?
Wait, they-
So Nancy and Eileen can do the 3rd?
Yeah, we can go whenever we want with the resolution.
But you want Jeff to still be there?
Right.
Rod, Jeff's not going off, is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff and Rob.
Oh, Jeff's, that's why we're doing the resolution tonight.
Right.
Sorry, it's getting late. In my mind, like the phone.
Lost your
Lost my
memory.
lost my memory and my mind.
So with that, I think we can talk about item 6, which is next meeting. It will be
Oh,
December
you may
12th.
not, you may not have voted.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
everybody who would like to approve this dual resolution, please say yes or aye. Yeah. And with that, we approve this in 5
I
and
think
then,
it's Tuesday the 17th.
She went on their website and it has the December 3rd and
Yeah.
December 17th.
Okay, let's just adjourn the meeting.
yeah, so and the next meeting will be Thursday, December 12th at 6 p.m. Get ready to party, isn't it? Or at 5? Oh, we're meeting at 5. Why it says 6?
Well, the meeting starts at 6.
5 is the celebration for Nancy.
Okay,
Oh, actually, the meeting starts at 5.
the meeting
we
starts at 5.
what?
Yes,
Yeah.
To have it.
the meeting starts, so be
No, we don't want a meeting for her celebration.
there, be square.
During.
Yeah,
Yeah.
celebrations during the meeting.
I think that's the plan,
That's it.
Okay.
at 5,
Great.
so
Do we have
be
business?
there or be
Business?
square. Yes, I think we do.
I know part 2 closed session at least.
At 6.
Yeah.
Oh, at 6 we have closed session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Well, it's normally not a good, yeah, it's
So
normally
our
no
flyer
good,
says, our flyer
good
doesn't,
news.
says it means, okay. Just, I was not
It
expecting.
says 5, it says 5 p.m., isn't it? yeah.
The flyer says her celebration's at 5, not that the meeting starts at 5.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. yeah.
Well, that's not how it was at Albert's thing.
Oh,
Same thing.
okay.
Okay,
Anyway,
so
I think we're
it's
adjourned.
at 5. With that, we are adjourned at 9:01. Oh, almost made it.